thing that is immoral is the politicians to do nothing and continue to allow more innocent people to be so horribly victimized.
In response, Pelosi, with Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer by her side, implored the president to end the partial government shutdown.
President Trump must stop holding the American people hostage, must stop manufacturing a crisis, and must reopen the government.
The president will meet with congressional leaders from both parties today in an effort to end the impasse. At the White House, John Decker, Fox News.
Now, this is day 19 of the shutdown. About 800,000 federal workers won't get paid Friday if this is not resolved. A second man in Texas charged with murder for the killing of a 7-year-old girl.
Larry D. Woodruff, arrested last Saturday on other charges, but now believed to be the gunman who killed the little girl. Another man, Eric Black Jr., also faces capital murder in this apparent case of mistaken identity.
That's Fox's Gernal Scott. Police say the men drove up next to a car where the girl was and they opened fire. A police officer's dead in Arizona.
Officer Clayton Townsend with the Salt River Police Department, who had proudly served for the last 5 years, was on a traffic stop and was struck and killed by a passing motorist.
That's Salt River Police Chief Carl Auerbach. The driver who hit the officer stopped and is cooperating with police. This is Fox News.
Skies are mostly clear, 20 degrees. 5:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Pleasant good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx is calling for any possible victims of R. Kelly, the R&B singer, to come forward. Foxx made the request yesterday after accusations of sexual misconduct against the R&B superstar were detailed in a new docu-series, Surviving R. Kelly.
It is our job here at the Cook County State's Attorney's Office to investigate claims in the interest of justice and of public safety.
She says her office cannot launch an effective prosecution without the cooperation of victims and witnesses. The 6-part documentary chronicled sex abuse allegations that have dogged the Chicago native who now lives in Atlanta for more than 20 years. This morning, the Illinois Department of Veterans Affairs says it's taking action after a case of Legionnaire's disease was confirmed at a home for veterans. The department says it was alerted by hospital medical staff that a resident of the Manteno Veterans Home had tested positive for the flu-like illness. The director of the Department of Veterans Affairs says he directed staff to notify all residents and next of kin or power of attorneys of the Legionnaire's case. The department is also activating a water safety plan. Hoffman Estates-based Sears is getting another shot to avoid bankruptcy. Retailer's chairman Edward Lampert's bid to save jobs and keep the business afloat will be considered at a bankruptcy auction on January 14. The auction date is contingent on Lampert anteing up $121 million in deposit by tomorrow afternoon. 2 more people are charged in an attack last month at a Red Line station on Chicago's near North Side. 18-year-old Michael Sarden and a 15-year-old boy were charged yesterday with felony aggravated battery and mob action. The two were seen as part of a big group on surveillance footage, kicking and punching 2 victims on December 29. A north suburban Waukegan man is accused of locking his daughter in his basement because he thought she was possessed by demons. That man has now been found mentally fit to stand trial. Randy Swopes will return to Lake County to stand trial on child endangerment and unlawful restraint charges January 15. Police in northwest Indiana say a woman fatally shot her parents, left their bodies in the home she shared with them before taking her own life. Michigan City Police Sergeant Chris Yagelski says the bodies of 71-year-old Barbara Evans and 73-year-old Walter Evans and 48-year-old Tammy Evans were found in the home Monday afternoon by a relative. A handgun and a written note were recovered from the home. Illinois State Capitol today, awash with flowers, family, well-wishers, and lobbyists as the legislature begins a new session. Members of the House and Senate will be inaugurated as part of the 101st General Assembly. Members are expected to elect again Chicago Democrat Michael Madigan to serve his 19th term as Speaker. An aldermanic power play scrapped a proposed 20,000-seat soccer stadium and economic development, keeping it from being put in place on Chicago's north side. Alderman Brian Hopkins announcing yesterday he is rejecting two large parts of the massive Lincoln Yards development by Sterling Bay, including the stadium and a live entertainment district. The stadium would have been home to a United Soccer League franchise owned by Cubs chairman Tom Ricketts, and now Ricketts has pulled out of that venture. Candidate for Chicago Mayor Bill Daley is proposing to merge the Chicago Public Schools and the City Colleges of Chicago. He says he wants to turn the nation's third largest school system into the country's first pre-K through 14 system. Daley believes the move will result in free community college to all CPS grads and potentially save $50 million in administrative costs just to start. Chicago Shedd Aquarium will be nearly free to Illinois residents for several days this month and all of next month. Museum will be free January 17th to the 21st to start. In February, the Shedd will be free Monday through Friday all month. However, it's not really free. There will be a $3 transaction tax applied to Illinois resident free day tickets reserved online. Bulls set to begin a 5-game road trip tonight in Portland. Sox bolstering their bullpen with the addition of Calvin Herrera. Last night in college hoops in the Valley, Loyola lost to Evansville. Illinois State trimmed Northern Iowa. Bradley fell to Valparaiso was a winner, and Southern Illinois lost to Drake in the MAC. Northern Illinois here on AM 560 earned a road win over Miami, 83-70. The news service of La Quinta Inns and Suites. If you're traveling for work, make your next stop La Quinta by Wyndham. Their spacious rooms and free high-speed internet makes it easy to work, while their comfortable beds and bright-side breakfast make it easy to relax. Win at business. Wherever you go, book at LQ.com. 5:07, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
It's 2019, and this could be the year. Yeah, this could be the year Congress works together.
It's a disgrace what's happening in our country.
This could be the year we build the wall.
They want border security. The people of this country want border security.
This could be the year the Russia investigation comes to an end.
The entire thing has been a witch hunt.
Well, for what could be and what is in 2019. Keep it right here. And Happy New Year. AM 560, The Answer.
When weather hits, the right wiper blades make all the difference. That's when the Michelin Man is on your side, helping you see better and drive safer with new Michelin Premium Wiper Blades. Designed with exclusive SmartFlex technology or frameless beam design, Michelin blades flex to the curve of your windshield, giving you unparalleled, streak-free, long-lasting, all-season performance. So when the going gets tough, be ready with Michelin Premium Wiper Blades. It's a difference you can see. Available at Walmart, Pep Boys, Amazon, and other fine retailers. When weather hits, the right wiper blades make all the difference. That's when the Michelin Man is on your side, helping you see better and drive safer with new Michelin Premium Wiper Blades. Designed with exclusive SmartFlex technology or frameless beam design, Michelin blades flex to the curve of your windshield, giving you unparalleled, streak-free, long-lasting, all-season performance. So when the going gets tough, be ready with Michelin Premium Wiper Blades. It's a difference you can see. Available at Walmart, Pep Boys, Amazon, and other fine retailers.
Hi, this is Amy Jacobson, and you'll have to wait until spring to get the outside of your house painted, but winter, perfect opportunity to get your interior painted. You know, people walk into my kitchen and ask, Amy, did you get new cabinets? No, I save myself thousands of dollars by simply having them painted by the experts at CertaPro Painters. So cross the first project off your 2019 to-do list. CertaPro Painters will ensure a beautiful transformation of your home. And if you want some help with colors, they've got you covered. In-home with a color consultation or online with their color visualizer. Don't put it off. Time to hire CertaPro Painters, your residential and commercial painting experts. You can schedule a free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C, or call 1-800-GO-CERTA. Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated. Get a free estimate at CertaPro.com or call 1-800-GO-CERTA. CertaPro Painters, we do painting, you do life.
Peloton is a game-changing indoor cycling bike that brings the energy of live studio classes right to your home anytime you want. Learn more about the Peloton bike at onepeloton.com or visit your local showroom.
It's 5:10. Let's get an update on the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here is Jim Talamonte.
The winds remain a factor this morning in Carpentersville. Down wires have the intersection of 31 and Main Street closed in Carpentersville. See roadwork delays on the inbound Bishop Ford Freeway, Cottage Grove to the Ryan. Looking at about 19 minutes, 80-94 to the merge. Outbound fine at 15. No issues right now on the Edens Expressway. Kennedy looks good. Express lanes are open inbound. No problems. Freeport, Eisenhower, and Stevenson. On the outbound Ryan, there's construction. 87 split, 3 left lanes. I-57, okay, there is some road work approaching the merge. You might slow down a bit in that area. Tollways are okay for now. No problem, Freeport in northwest Indiana. That's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte from the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answers starts next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center and meteorologist Steve Williams.
Today it'll be windy and much colder. Times of clouds and sun, the high 25. Clear, seasonably cold tonight, low 15. A partly sunny day tomorrow, high 28. Clouds on Friday with a high at 35. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Chilly start to the morning, 20 at O'Hare, 20 in Aurora, and 23 along the lakefront. Your next news update is at 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Get Down to Business with Shalom Klein, the show for business and jobs powered by Tandem HR. Heard Sunday evenings at 6.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. I liked it better when they sat around and traded barbs in front of the press. But we'll take your reactions to President Trump's address and the Democrats' response. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Any new ground trod last night?
Well, any minds changed?
Anyone
angry
movement?
that he didn't declare a state of emergency? I thought for sure that was going to happen, but no did do.
President Trump describing the problem at the outset of his remarks.
We are out of space to hold them, and we have no way to promptly return them back home to their country. America proudly welcomes millions of lawful immigrants who enrich our society and contribute to our nation. But all Americans are hurt by uncontrolled illegal migration. It strains public resources and drives down jobs and wages.
So that was part of his identification of the problem from his perspective, I should say, because that's the humanitarian part, the economic part. Of course, he got into the law and order part of it later in the speech. He also sort of characterized this. This was, I think, the top line from the speech, where he believes we are, thus the need for the national address.
This is a humanitarian crisis, a crisis of the heart and a crisis of the soul.
The interesting thing is, in addition to the emphasis on the humanitarian piece of this and the very real problem of Customs and Border Enforcement being overwhelmed by the people coming into this country, attempting to come into this country, that they then have to care for. And because of the peculiarities of American law, case law on the topic in particular, they really do have this problem. And that's why one of the things the president proposed was to address this, to give Border Patrol the resources they need to provide for people temporarily in a humane fashion, but then expeditiously return them to their home country if they don't belong here.
Right. And there are thousands of people who come here illegally who put themselves and their children at risk.
Over the years, thousands of Americans have been brutally killed by those who illegally entered our country, and thousands more lives will be lost if we don't act right now. This is a humanitarian crisis, a crisis of the heart.
Basically, he just, laid out some numbers and some facts that were true, that were not, it was not fake news, CNN, because they had their wall of lies where they broke down what he said, what was true and what was false. And their point of contention is that Democrats don't want any wall because President Trump mentioned that they want a steel wall, not a concrete wall.
No, he mentioned that this was a sop to Democrats. This was a concession to Democrats. He argued that going from concrete to steel, talk about it, sort of a distinction without a difference. And yes, well, that's actually, it's funny that CNN should say Democrats want no wall. Okay. Well, then let's continue that conversation. So square the circle for me, Don and Anderson and the girls. All the girls.
One of the girls, yes.
So you heard Pelosi and Schumer, we're for border security, but we're the party that wants to abolish ICE. We're for border security, and we also want to remove people in this country who are doing harm to others. But we want to abolish ICE, and we don't want a physical barrier. And so the question that it prompts, which I mentioned yesterday, well, then by that argument, shouldn't we tear down the existing structures? If there should be no physical barrier. And I thought this was sort of the best moment in Trump's remarks when he took on this issue of the morality or immorality of the respective positions of the two sides.
Some have suggested a barrier is immoral. Then why do wealthy politicians build walls, fences, and gates around their homes? They don't build walls because they hate the people on the outside, but because they love the people on the inside. The only thing that is immoral is the politicians to do nothing and continue to allow more innocent people to be so horribly victimized.
And then he also went through a couple of examples of horrific crimes that have been committed by people in this country illegally, including over the holidays, the murder of Newman, California police officer Ronil Singh, which he mentioned explicitly. So just when we have this conversation, and we'll get to it, how the partial shutdown in day 18 is irreparably harming federal workers, and that's sort of part of the Pelosi and Schumer shtick.
Yeah, and it's official. They're not going to get paid on Friday because the paychecks are printed on Thursday night.
It's fascinating how the federal government
well,
works.
the people are coming forward. There's a lot of tears.
Yeah, irreparably harmed, right? 18 days in, one paycheck in. You're being affected now. Let me tell you something.
Well, the airport at Palm Springs is being affected. TSA agents, 170 called in sick.
Oh, then replace them. You're being affected? How about Ronil Singh's family? Are they affected? How about Ronil Singh? Was he irreparably harmed? He was murdered. Kate Steinle, come to Illinois and talk to Eric Brady down in Mahomet. Talk to the McCann family, formerly of the south side of the city. You want to talk about irreparable harm. The policy choices being made in D.C. also affect people. So this I'm being impacted now sense of entitlement because life is to afford me guarantees that we're hearing from some, just some, federal workers being amplified by their handmaids in the D.C. press corps. Unpersuasive. Who isn't being impacted? On both sides of this discussion. Who is not being impacted? Are taxpayers not being impacted? Are people who've been victimized by people in this country illegally? Are they being impacted by the...
Well, they're impacted by it every day.
Right, by the nature of our immigration system. Yeah.
Right. I applaud Trump. He was presidential last night. He was on topic, and he made a point, and I thought he was very effective with it. I mean, we need to change the immigration system in this country. And he laid out that case beautifully. I thought it was
the best he's ever been.
The only thing I would say, some criticism of Trump, and this is coming from some conservative outlets as well. You know, you had the Congress for 2 years.
I know.
You know, we were critical, all of the hand-wringing by the left about the Dreamers. Well, what did we say? You had Barack Obama in the White House. You had Congress for 2 years. Why didn't you take up the issue? And that's a legitimate criticism of the left, and it's a legitimate criticism of Republicans. Maybe Trump was spoiling for this fight all along. Maybe he wasn't as focused as he should have been. I tend to think it's more the latter than the former. But he and Republicans, but he's the president, could have gotten this done and avoided this place we're in now in the first 2 years of his administration. They didn't do it. So you got to own that, too. Brian in Schaumburg, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi, good morning. I'm in the construction industry, and I've dealt with this problem for decades, and both parties are corrupt on this issue. And we could fund the border wall just by fining the American employers. That's the big problem. It's the American businessman that wants the illegal immigrants. It's an entitlement to American business. There are certain industries that think they're entitled to illegal immigrants.
Yeah.
Hospitality, hotels, hospitals. I'm an electrician. I see it everywhere. I see the back end of a lot of businesses, and I see it's a huge problem. And the thing is, a lot of people are making a lot of money off of illegal immigrants, and we need to focus on that part of the problem instead of just people coming across the border.
No, that's
You verify?
Yeah, thanks for the call, Brian. No, that's a good point. And also, too, by the way, the federal government overwhelmed in processing H-2B visas. There was a story in the Wall Street Journal over the weekend, your federal government at work, overwhelmed by it, and the sort of first day applications for H-2B visas, temporary workers, was all-time high. So this is, but see, to Brian's point, this is why you can't get to those other issues, because it's not just people coming across the southern border. It's not just people overstaying their visas who come in through the airports. It's all of these other aspects of how we govern immigration in this country as well. But you can't get to these other places because you can't even agree on something as basic as a border security should be all of the above: personnel, technology, physical structures. Stick in Phoenix, Arizona.
Hey, Stick.
Let me ask you a question. Are the politicians that should be doing their jobs getting paid? They're federal workers. Why are they getting paid?
Mm-hmm.
If they were not getting paid, maybe they would get off their couch and do something about it. Think about all of the politicians in the last 10, 20 years that have been in political power, like Nancy Pelosi and all these other, Chuck Schumer and all these other circus clowns. They've had plenty of opportunities to do something, but they've continued to look the other way. Why don't we make them pay for the troubles that the illegals bring to the country? If it was coming out of their pocket, maybe they'd be doing something. We finally have somebody in office that's standing up and saying, you know what? The taxpayers are tired of picking up the tab of everything that the illegals cause troubles with in this country. He's the only one that's doing something about it, and everybody wants to attack him. But look at the federal government employees. All of these politicians are federal employees. Cut their paychecks off and see how much work they get done. If I was a politician, I was in there, I would make a list and post it on the internet of all of the politicians that refuse to do their job and inform the public. I'm kind of a consumer advocate. Google my name if you want to. I'm not trying to promote who I am or what I do on the internet, but we've got to start it. The politicians are the trouble. They don't want to stand up for this country, then leave the country. Why don't we go to these politicians' houses and tear their walls down around their houses and see how they like it? They want their walls, but they don't want to stand up for the American people. Then why are we paying them?
Thanks for the call, Stick. And to your point, there are some members of Congress who volunteered to forego their paychecks in the
interim. Yeah. Elizabeth Warren's one of them.
I mean, by the way, have we been here before? 18 days. We've had short of 24 government shutdowns in the last 40 years. This is such kabuki theater, which is why the rhetoric gets so overheated, because it takes so much to generate any interest from people, because they're inured to the histrionics you get from the Pelosi's and the Schumers and some of the Republicans too. Ed in Oak Brook.
you know what? What I never hear from anybody, left, right, center, even you guys, is they don't go after the people that are organizing or selling these immigrants from, let's say, South America, the dream of coming here. Someone's organizing this. Someone's telling them how to get to here. Someone's following them from wherever to the 9th District Court out there in California. Who's doing that? Go after them. Mexico should go after them. And I'll tell you what, I can make the case, and I'm sure any lawyer listening could make the case that any damage done or deaths incurred or whatever could be put on them since they organized this mob. Have a nice day.
Thanks, Ed.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
What does building a better bank look like? It starts with building Capital One cafes, warm, inviting places that feel nothing like a typical bank.
Years St. John, that speaks volumes. And it's principally a boarding school for young men and women grades 7 through 12, but has an active day program for those grades as well. Their alumni include heads of state, key business leaders, the creator of the Beanie Baby, professional athletes, accomplished artists, statesmen and politicians, and a variety of others who have made important contributions to a broad spectrum of society. Here's what you do. Contact them through their website or call them to schedule a visit. They always have ongoing enrollment, which means there's always time to enroll your son or daughter. For information, call 1-800-SJ-CADET. That's 1-800-SJ-CADET. Or visit their website, sjnma.org. That's sjnma.org.
You started a DIY project at home. Then you realize convenience isn't always easy. The why in DIY doesn't mean, why is this so hard? At ADT, we DIFY, do it for you. We customize and install a secure smart home that you control from the palm of your hand or the sound of your voice. Smart security, designed and installed just for you with ADT. Visit ADT.com/smart to learn more. License information available at ADT.com. ADT. Real protection.
Pros in the know start with Lowe's, because Lowe's makes it easy to save big on building materials to finish any job. Need to stock up on water heaters? Save 5% on select A.O. Smith water heaters when you buy 3 or more of the same model. Plus, save 5% on eligible purchases every day when you use your Lowe's Business Credit account. So, Pro, now that you know, start with Lowe's. While supplies last, credit offer subject to credit approval. Can't be combined with other credit offers. Exclusions apply, U.S. only.
I'm Dan Proft.
And I'm Amy Jacobson.
And if you're a small business owner or you make the marketing or advertising decisions for a business, then listen up.
Once again, our annual Food for the Poor campaign is underway to raise money for children suffering from poverty in Haiti. We've partnered with Food for the Poor to provide food and clean water to several thousand children this year.
And here's how your business can be a part of this. Become a Food for the Poor business benefactor. Just make a $2,500 tax-deductible donation to Food for the Poor. And AM 560 will give you 40 60-second commercials to air here on AM 560 The Answer between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. Monday through Friday at no additional cost to you.
That's the best advertising deal in all of Chicago. To take advantage of this deal, just call Anjanette Natowski at 847-472-8951. Again, that's 847-472-8951. One more time. 847-472-8951. Hi, this is Amy Jacobson, and you'll have to wait until spring to get the outside of your house painted, but winter, perfect opportunity to get your interior painted. You know, people walk into my kitchen and ask, Amy, did you get new cabinets? No, I save myself thousands of dollars by simply having them painted by the experts at CertaPro Painters. So cross the first project off your 2019 to-do list. CertaPro Painters will ensure a beautiful transformation of your home. And if you want some help with colors, they've got you covered. In-home with a color consultation or online with their color visualizer. Don't put it off. Time to hire CertaPro Painters, your residential and commercial painting experts. You can schedule a free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C, or call 1-800-GO-CERTA. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Get a free estimate at CertaPro.com or call 1-800-GO-CERTA. CertaPro Painters, we do painting, you do life.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, another reason why, ladies, you need to get your concealed carry. We have a fascinating story out of Chicago.
And at 6:06, are the people trying to get into this country more illegally, more American than the people trying to keep them out? That's what Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said. Well, get what you have to say about that at 6:06.
But first, let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
20 degrees this morning. Police in Australia investigating suspicious packages sent to embassies and consulates in the city of Melbourne and Canberra. U.S. consulate in Melbourne reportedly said it received a suspicious package. Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx calling for any possible victims of R. Kelly to come forward. Foxx made the request yesterday.
It is our job here at the Cook County State's Attorney's Office to investigate claims in the interest of justice and of public safety.
Foxx made the request yesterday after accusations of sexual misconduct against the R&B singer were detailed in a new docu-series. President Trump claims there's a growing humanitarian and security crisis at the U.S.-Mexican border.
This is a humanitarian crisis, a crisis of the heart and a crisis of the soul.
Responding to the president's address on border security, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi.
But the president is rejecting these bipartisan bills, which would reopen government, over his obsession with forcing American taxpayers to waste billions of dollars on an expensive and ineffective wall, a wall he always promised Mexico would pay for.
In his first Oval Office address last night, the president said women and children are the biggest victims of illegal immigration. New details coming out regarding the Michigan man jailed in Russia on accusations of being a spy. David Whalen says the attorney for his brother Paul has a significant conflict of interest.
His son was one of the investigators on the team that detained Paul over the weekend, and so we now have a lawyer who's defending someone who the son is on the investigation team. I mean, it would never happen in the States.
Paul Whalen was arrested in Moscow on December 28th. New this morning, the Whalen family is working with Canada, Ireland, and Great Britain to get involved with U.S. Ambassador John Huntsman. The truck driver is pleading involved in a crash in Canada that killed 16 hockey players last April, is pleading guilty to that crash. Details were released yesterday after the driver pleaded guilty in a Saskatchewan courtroom. The bus was carrying members, you may recall, of the Humboldt Broncos hockey team, aged 16 to 21. And we're watching this development this morning. Wyoming health officials saying another cat has been diagnosed with the bubonic plague. 3 cats have now been infected with a potentially deadly disease over the last few months, all in northern Wyoming. Wyoming Department of Health says the last time a human contracted the plague in the U.S. was 2008. The Illinois Department of Veterans Affairs this morning says it's taking action after a case of Legionnaire's disease was confirmed at the Manteno home for veterans. Hoffman Estates-based Sears getting another shot to avoid bankruptcy. Retailing Giants chairman Edward Lampert's bid to save jobs and keep the business afloat will be considered again at bankruptcy auction January 14. Chicago sports. Bulls are set to begin a 5-game road trip tonight in Portland. White Sox bolstering their bullpen with the addition of Kelvin Herrera. 5:34. We'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher just sees things working under President Trump.
Americans are talking about the crisis at the border in a way that we've never talked about it before. We're having a conversation about all of this in a way that we never had in the past and in a way that we never would without the election of Donald Trump, without his impetus, without his leadership.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
For more than 50 years, Mueller CPA, a certified public accounting and business advisory firm, has been serving clients in Chicagoland. Dave Nissen, Mueller's managing partner, is here to explain Mueller CPA's history, journey, and opportunity.
Thanks, Dan. Our firm was started by Al Mueller as a one-person CPA firm in 1968. Through growth and partnerships, Mueller CPA has blossomed from a regional firm to an organization that provides services worldwide. Mueller is a reflection of our years of listening and caring for our clients, and we would not be here today if it wasn't for our professionals and support personnel. We value the human side of our business and recognize it as being the most important element of our success. We are growing, we are hiring, and we welcome your interest in our firm.
If you are looking for your first opportunity or your forever career, join an award-winning team that cares about you. Visit the career page at MuellerCPA.com or call Dave directly at 630-524-5274.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover, all for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter 4343 at checkout. That's harrys.com, code 4343. Enjoy.
Check out Ground Game, the latest podcast from the Associated Press discussing the top political issues around the country. Available on Apple Podcasts.
5:37 and a check on the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim.
It's still windy in parts of the Chicago area. If you're calling anything this morning, be sure it's well secured. In Carpentersville, down wires at the intersection of 31 and Main Street, blocked off. Chicago's South Loop was crashed. Roosevelt at Rubel, that's just west of the Ryan on Roosevelt. Inbound Ryan Expressway, we're seeing delays now approaching downtown. It's heavy from 18th to Burns Circle, about a 2-minute delay. Outbound, there's road work, 87th split, 3 left lanes. I-57 just a little congested approaching the Rhine. Overnight work has cleared there. At Bishop Ford, looking at a 2-minute delay from Cottage Grove to the Rhine. Down Stevenson, a little tight for Cicero. That's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte. From the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center, a windy day, much colder. Times of clouds and sun, a high near 25. Seasonably cold overnight with a low of 15 degrees. It's 20 degrees at O'Hare, 23 along Chicago's lakefront. Your wind chill this morning is 6. Your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Watch today's show live right now on the Income Store live video stream at 560theanswer.com.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. We talking about the president's address last night, Democrats' response. Favorite part of the evening? The internet memes that were presented after the image of Schumer and Pelosi together. A lot of American Gothic.
Well, she looked. I mean, she had her hair done and her makeup professionally done.
Well,
and she looked, like she had.
And so did Pelosi.
A deer in the headlights. Look. Oh yeah. Hey-o.
Thank you.
Funny
Pagliacci and Pelosi.
Oh my God. Grandma and Grandpa.
I saw them and I thought, wow, Hollywood is really overplaying their hand with this Meet the Fockers franchise. I mean, tell me it wasn't it's sort of like awkward like Dustin Hoffman and Barbra Streisand.
Yeah, it was.
Anyway, here's their proposition as presented by one Senate Minority Leader Pagliacci.
Well, there's an obvious solution. Separate the shutdown from arguments over border security. There is bipartisan legislation supported by Democrats and Republicans to reopen government while allowing debate over border security to continue.
Exactly. The reasonable position is to continue doing what we've been doing so we can continue having this pointless debate that we've been having for generations. In other words, do nothing.
Do nothing. Yeah.
Of course.
And President Trump's not going to do that.
There's the reasonable compromise. I think everybody can get around this idea of don't do anything, just keep flapping your gums. And you're right, Trump isn't going to do that. He certainly doesn't seem inclined to do that. And there's various opinions on whether or not he's winning this politically or not, but it's long overdue, I would say. Paul in Lake Forest, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning. Good show.
Thank you.
There's so much to be said about this. I wish I had an hour to have lunch with you, Dan, and expose you to my dementia.
If you pay.
But, oh, you're on.
All right.
We'll go play golf. We'll play golf at Ridgemore.
You just said the magic words. Golf at Ridgemore. Well, see, was that so hard?
Just a couple points. First of all, once again, let's step back and see that this is nothing but a distraction. Distract. Get this off to the vote in 2020. Maybe they'll vote Trump out, and this will all be a bad 4-year dream for them. That's what I believe. But we were doing some numbers last night. You got 800,000 government workers out of work. Let's say they make $50,000 each, which we know it's more than that. That's $40 billion. I think we got some wiggle room there with building a wall.
Yeah, I think you're right. Thanks for the call, Paul. I mean, this is not about money. I mean, let's just be honest. This is not about money.
No.
$5 billion is a rounding error. $4 trillion annual federal budget. It's not about money. It's about political posturing.
Some were suggesting too that take the foreign aid that we give Mexico and Central America, which is $10 billion, take some of that to pay for the wall.
Well, but it's not about the money. It's like Cruz's bill. Use the seizure of El Chapo's assets to pay for the wall.
Chuck Norris likes that idea too, by the way.
Well, if Chuck Norris likes it, who are we to argue?
He came out with that, and like somebody already had that idea, Chuck. But okay, yeah.
Well, but I mean,
but that's serious cash.
But the money is not the issue. You have to get Congress to appropriate it for this specific purpose. That's the issue, right? I mean, just make sure people understand that. By the way, I'll take your calls too on favorite Pelosi and Pagliacci internet meme, because there were many to choose from.
I like the American Gothic the best.
American Gothic's good.
I just wish that Pelosi and Nancy had switched positions so they could mirror them perfectly.
I like this. Have you seen this one where there are pharaohs in front of one of the pyramids? That's pretty good.
That's a good one.
I like there's a Ren and Stimpy one. There's where they switch the faces. There's the Joker and the Penguin.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's not bad. Let's see. There's Beavis and Butthead. Okay, there senior match.
That's the best
dating
one.
site.
Dating site.
That's not bad.
How old are they? Is she 78?
She's old. Yeah, she's approaching Bernie Sanders land. How about this one? They're gangster rappers.
Gangster rapper. That's good.
Yeah, that's not bad. All right. David and McCook, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, guys. Glad you're back, Dan. Missed you.
Thanh you. I missed you too.
Well, I know you did.
Too on radio.
I always miss you, Amy. I want to say Schumer and Pelosi look like two grandmas standing on there. They don't even look like male and female. And if Trump is manufacturing this crisis, those must be cardboard cutouts of illegal aliens standing near our border.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, thanks for the call, David. Marie and Algonquin.
Yes, good morning. As I see it, the bottom line of the whole situation is that the Pelosi's and Schumer's, the party, they just want a permanent Democrat Party that into perpetuity, and that's their main concern. Democrat Party that's always going to be in the majority, kind of like with Chicago. But I think it's the president maybe just does have really one option. Well, he has to do something about the shutdown also. I think he should end that, and then in the same breath declare that there is a national emergency on that border. And anyone that doesn't think so is simply clueless, which, of course, Pelosi and Schumer are. The ridiculous comment that Schumer made about the Statue of Liberty. The Statue of Liberty, most of the immigrants that have come to this country over the years, of course, now Ellis Island is closed down,
right.
But those people were vetted very very much so.
Yeah.
I know my own grandparents who came to this country in 1902 from Europe. My grandmother came with her brother, and he tested positive for TB. They sent him back. We know there have been a number of incidents of communicable diseases allegedly tied to the illegal immigrant population coming in here.
Yeah,
but,
thanks for the call.
This has been a crisis actually for the last 30, 40 years. So to continue any more of this ridiculous posturing, debate, non-debate, I think the president does need to declare it a national emergency. I know the Democrats will appeal it then to the leftist Ninth Circuit, but I think there's very substantial evidence available now without even digging too much to justify his doing that. And I think that does need to be done. I'd say go for it.
Thanks for the call, Marie. Appreciate it. I mean, on the issue of the declaring using his emergency powers,
he didn't do that.
He didn't do that. Didn't think he would do that. It's not. It's too soon. But by the way, there's an argument at National Review of all places, sort of siloed argument between Andy McCarthy and David French as to whether the president actually does have the power to direct the military to build the wall. McCarthy believes he does. French believes he doesn't. I think the case law French cites is not exactly on point. He uses the Truman effort to nationalize the steel industry during World War II. During Korea, as the basis for it. As the basis to say that Trump doesn't have these powers because the Supreme Court rejected Truman's gambit to nationalize the steel industry for the purposes, of course, supporting the military. But it's I think he's got a strong hand. I think the whole speech was nicely summed up by the idea you erect borders, rich people, politicians have walls around their homes not because they dislike the people on the outside, because they love the people on the inside. Use it for protection.
Great metaphor.
Yeah, it's common sense. Use it for protection. It's not the whole thing. It's one thing. And I think he just sticks to that. I think he's in a position to be much more persuasive than the untenable argument advanced by Pagliacci and Pelosi, which is we're for border security, but we want to, and we're for, certainly, of course, removing violent criminals from this country who are here illegally, but we want to abolish ICE and we don't want a wall. It's just that is an untenable position. It's an absurd position. Tony on the South Side.
Good morning, Dan. Amy, my lammy lamb. Hey, listen, all this shutdown and all that, it's white noise to me at this point.
Yeah.
My focus was on our tangerine Jesus.
Yes.
Did you notice him when he was speaking? One of his eyes was a little more squinty than the other. I think he might have been sweating a little bit, and a little bit of citrus dropped in there. So I hope he's keeping us cool. He's going to play this thing through. I just wanted to point that out. I'm a little concerned, guys. That's all,
Yeah, thanks.
Saying.
Thanks for that. Did you also notice, Tony, maybe you picked up, when he started his address, did it sound like he said, I'm a speaking to you, like Father Guido Sarducci?
I'm a speaking to you. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
I'm here to speak to you.
I'm tell you something.
I thought Tony, I heard that. I don't know if I was hearing things or what.
Tony and I are going to go golf at Ridgemore.
Oh, you? Oh.
Yeah. You're going. You got asked out on a date. So, Tony, I'm his little lammy lamb.
You can play in the foursome behind us. William in Vassar, Michigan.
Good morning. I believe I have an answer to the whole problem. I'm just a disabled vet sitting in a one-room sleeping room being denied my homeless veteran program. And if it wasn't for this Walmart flip phone with unlimited minutes, I'd just be up the creek without a paddle. But this ain't about me. I believe our president is overlooking a viable commodity in this country that would give him over $2 billion a year for the 12 days of Christmas. It's a live Christmas tree, folks. If he sponsored this program, I'd buy it on the lifetime plan, as would many others. It'd go to $40 to $60 billion. What would he do with that money? Build a functional wall. What is a functional wall? Go to 7 Block Museum, Jackson, Michigan. It's one block in the largest walled prison in the world. There's 500 mini apartments with a toilet, sink, and a bathroom. You build one on each end of the country, a few fences in between, some more, and you build the Immigration Central with a hospital where every future immigrant that comes to this country goes. You do it by changing one thing in this country, a dead artificial market, to a live Christmas tree. Guess what? All the fires and mudslide goes away because you put fire trails like checkerboards in every state in this country. The firewood could be sold by the handicapped on a U-load basis. Get them off welfare, pay them extra money, give them some self-esteem. And I say, I'm a patriot. I love his slogan, let's make America great again. I say, Mr. President, add to it from the ground up. Let's make America great again, folks, from the ground up. Let's build a functional wall. These guys are like kids in a sandbox. I watched this. I raised my right hand when I was 18 to enlist in the United States Air Force in 1972, and I couldn't vote or buy alcohol. And I'm being denied my homeless veterans program now because my state government changed the law and then applied it backwards to me in violation of the ex post facto clause. I've called the government's White House Veterans Line, and they told me last night not to call back anymore.
Well, William,
I called the White House, and it says the White House is closed due to a government shutdown. And here I am with an idea that would make this country great again from the ground up, folks. We have an opioid problem. I read a book that said if you take those...
Yeah, William, I'm sorry we got to jump, but I appreciate the idea, and I'm sorry for your circumstance. Appreciate your
and
service
we appreciate
to the country.
you.
Yeah, thanks for the call, William.
Call back anytime.
Candace in Mount Pleasant, Wisconsin.
God bless William. Sorry to hear that he's there. Last night, that was an excellent speech. I was glad that it was only 8 minutes long. That was excellent. But earlier in the day, I had to listen to Joe Walsh have a tirade over why didn't this get done 2 years ago? Well, you know what? 2 years ago, no, it wasn't as important 2 years ago because we didn't have thousands coming from Honduras, which is the #1 murder capital of the world. That's Saudi Arabia. The Honduras is the #1 capital murder rate of the world.
Yes,
okay,
but
so yes, it is more important now.
But
the point is they're paying attention.
But it was.
They feel like they got the gusto and they can actually do it. And he also has Lindsey Graham, on his side. So this time it can actually get done. And no, 90% of federal employees vote Democrat. So what incentive do we have to help them? Nothing.
Well,
let them see what it's like to be in the private sector where you lose your job, you don't have any job security, you're at the whim of some HR hack and your crazy boss. Let them see what it's like.
Thanks for the call, Candace. I mean, with respect to Trump doing it now, you didn't have the caravans when he first took office, but he had all the political capital then. And it was a central promise of his candidacy. So why not get right after it, or get after it at some point before you risk not having your party in control of one or both chambers? I don't know that there's a particularly good excuse for President Trump and congressional Republicans to not have gotten this done when they had both branches.
My fellow Americans, tonight I am speaking to you.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Hi, this is Amy Jacobson, and you'll have to wait until spring to get the outside of your house painted, but winter, perfect opportunity to get your interior painted. People walk into my kitchen and ask, Amy, did you get new cabinets? No, I save myself thousands of dollars by simply having them painted by the experts at CertaPro Painters. So cross the first project off your 2019 to-do list. CertaPro Painters will ensure a beautiful transformation of your home. And if you want some help with colors, they've got you covered. In-home with a color consultation or online with their color visualizer. Don't put it off. Time to hire CertaPro Painters, your residential and commercial painting experts. You can schedule a free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C, or call 1-800-GO-CERTA. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Get a free estimate at CertaPro.com or call 1-800-GO-CERTA. CertaPro Painters, we do painting, you do life.
Policies issued by American General Life Insurance Company, Houston, Texas. Not available in all states. For details, visit AIGdirect.com.
Do you have a family? Would you like to help make sure they'll be taken care of if anything were to happen to you? If you answered yes, you probably need life insurance. Now, do you think life insurance is expensive? If you answered yes to that too, you definitely need to give AIG Direct a call. We could find you a $250,000 policy for just $14 a month, which means you could save hundreds of dollars a year. Call us now for a free, no-obligation quote. 1-800-600-4850. Since 1995, we've helped millions of people find out if they could save up to 70% on their term life insurance. See how affordably we can help you protect your family. Call AIG Direct now for your free quote. 1-800-600-4850. You could save up to 70%. That's 1-800-600-4850. 1-800-600-4850.
Are you a fiduciary? If you're the owner or officer of a company sponsoring a corporate retirement plan, then you are a fiduciary. Why is this important? As a fiduciary, you may be held personally liable for breaches in your 401k plan. There has been a recent surge in lawsuits related to excessive fees and fiduciary breaches targeting 401k plans, their owners, and officers. One of our newest charity golf benefactors, Clear Financial Strategies, is your retirement plan CFO, bringing together a specialized fiduciary compliance and management team to help prevent potential lawsuits, all at competitive costs. Discover if your 401k contains any hidden fees or risks, and how Clear Financial Strategies is a registered investment advisor that's a true fiduciary. Professionals placing your interests first. I suggest you request Clear Financial Strategies custom report on company retirement plan risks. Visit my401krisks.com. That's my401krisks.com. Do it today, my401krisks.com.
Food for the Poor is supported by Northwestern University's Master of Product Design and Development Management program. If you're thinking about an MBA, but your passion is in product design and development, Northwestern University's Master of Product Design and Development Management program is for you. It's a 2-year part-time management program for working professionals who aspire for leadership roles in product design and development. Register now for the info session in downtown Chicago, January 16th, or the open house in Evanston on January 19th. Northwestern's MPD is acclaimed by Businessweek as one of the top design thinking programs in the world. MPD prepares you for leadership in the product design and development world better than any other business management program, balancing management teachings with advanced design and development. Visit mpd.northwestern.edu. That's mpd.northwestern.edu.
AM 560, The Answer.
Final words from Governor Bruce Rauner. He had a farewell assessment of his...
Bye, everybody, forever, everybody.
We had great successes over the last 4 years. It's been an honor, a deep privilege for Lieutenant Governor and I to serve the people of Illinois.
Yeah. But he did talk about, what we need to work on. See you later.
We could be, should be one of the top, fastest growing states in America. We are not. We continue not to be, and we haven't been for decades. That's probably our biggest challenge.
But that's so powerful. What's great insight. He is, the die is cast. I mean, all of his little efforts to do some image rehab in the last 60 days, he will go down as one of the worst governors in the history of Illinois, and that's really saying something considering how many served time. And he will go down as having probably put the nail in the coffin for the Illinois Republican Party for generations at least.
Yay, 2018, yay!
Yay! I get not so much yay. Not yay 2019 for Bruce Rauner, huh?
Coming
bye,
up on
everybody, bye forever.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Just go to the news with Mike Scott already.
Fox calls for possible R. Kelly victims to come forward, and a new Illinois General Assembly. WIND Chicago News Time is 6 o'clock.
Making the case for the wall in prime time. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
This is a humanitarian crisis, a crisis of the heart, and a crisis of the soul.
This president just used the backdrop of the Oval Office to manufacture a crisis.
Democratic Senate Leader Chuck Schumer in his response to President Trump's address. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, President Trump plans to visit Senate Republicans on Capitol Hill today before meeting with Democratic leaders at the White House. This as the president offers a steel slat barrier rather than a solid wall.
Law enforcement professionals have requested $5.7 billion for a physical barrier.
Democrats remain opposed to any kind of wall. In the Democratic rebuttal last night, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi called on the president to reopen the government.
President Trump must stop holding the American people hostage
might stop manufacturing a crisis.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has said the upper chamber will not take up legislation to end the standoff that the president won't sign. Dave.
Now, Rachel, it's day 19 of the partial government shutdown. If it isn't resolved, about 800,000 federal workers won't get paychecks. Gene King, furloughed by the FAA, blames the president.
He doesn't care about all the people that are out of work and then are not going to get paid.
But President Trump has said that many of these workers are on his side. Fox News confirms the controversial number 2 at the Justice Department is on his way out.
Deputy General Rod Rosenstein will depart in the coming weeks. Around the time that the president's pick for Attorney General William Barr is confirmed, this comes as Rosenstein's rocky relationship with President Trump has shown no signs of improving.
Fox's Griff Jenkins. Rosenstein spent a lot of time overseeing Special Counsel Mueller's Russia probe. After then, Attorney General Sessions recused himself. This is Fox News.
"20 degrees with a wind chill of 6 above at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx calling for any possible victims of R. Kelly to come forward. Foxx made that request yesterday after accusations of sexual misconduct against the R&B singer resurfaced and were detailed in a new docu-series, Surviving R. Kelly. Foxx is again urging victims to talk to her.
I'm here today to encourage victims of sexual assault or domestic violence related to these allegations to please get in touch with our office.
She says her office cannot launch any effective prosecution without cooperation of victims and witnesses. The Illinois Department of Veterans Affairs says it's taking quick action after a case of Legionnaire's disease was confirmed at a home for veterans in Manteno. Hoffman Estates-based Sears getting another shot to avoid bankruptcy. Retail giant chairman Edward Lampert's bid to save jobs and keep the business afloat will be considered again at a bankruptcy auction January 14. Police in Northwest Indiana say a woman fatally shot her parents, then left those bodies in the home she shared with them before taking her own life. Michigan City Police Sergeant Chris Yagelski says the bodies of 71-year-old Barbara Evans, 73-year-old Walter Evans, and 48-year-old Tammy Evans were found in the home Monday, along with a handgun and a handwritten note. An investigation is underway after a woman with a concealed carry permit was forced to defend herself, shot and killed a man who tried to rob her at gunpoint. Chicago police investigators say the man approached the woman yesterday in the 500 block of West 103rd. He pulled a gun and tried to rob her before the woman fired her own legal weapon and shot him in the neck. The robber ran off but was found a block away, taken to the hospital, and later died. Bulls set to begin a 5-game road trip in Portland. White Sox bolstering their bullpen with the addition of Kelvin Herrera. Last night in college basketball, Loyola lost to Evansville in the MAC. Northern Illinois, here on AM 560, earns a road win over Miami, 83-70. The news service of Peloton, a game-changing indoor cycling bike that brings the energy of live studio classes right to your home anytime you want. Learn more about the Peloton bike at onepeloton.com or visit your local showroom. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Sean Hannity applauds the president's stance on trade.
We have had horrible one-sided deals with everybody. That includes NATO, 72 cents of every dollar. That includes even our European allies and friends, supposedly. They have one-sided trade deals. Mexico, NAFTA, Canada, now China. So we're making huge progress.
The Sean Hannity Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560. The Answer.
Get up and go. It's Apple Vacations' great winter event. Explore beautiful tropical destinations at Iberostar Hotels and Resorts. From family-friendly to luxurious adults-only resorts, the vacation choices are endless with Iberostar Hotels and Resorts. 3 nights at Iberostar Bávaro start from only $9.99. Or make it 7 nights at Iberostar Paraíso del Mar starting from just $10.99. And with Apple Vacations, it's all included. Non-stop round-trip air, resort transfers, all meals, drinks, and taxes. Call Carey Travel Express at 847-639-3300 or visit careytravelexpress.com to book your trip today. Prices per person based on double occupancy for select exclusive vacation flights from O'Hare and Frontier to Punta Cana starting February 18th or to Cancun starting February 26th. And include taxes and fees, including September 11 security fee. Some flights are operated by other airlines. Baggage charges apply. See applevacations.com. Prices subject to availability and change. Restrictions apply.
All money managers might seem the same, but while some give their clients cookie-cutter portfolios, Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to your goals and needs. Some only call when they have something to sell. Fisher calls regularly, so you stay informed. And while some advisors are happy to earn commissions whether you do well or not, Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when you do better. In other words, we're on your side. Maybe that's why most of our clients come from other money managers. So if you're in or nearing retirement, talk with us and find out why investors are switching to and staying with Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments, clearly better money management. Investments in securities involve the risk of loss. Visit us at FisherInvestments.com to find out what we can do for you.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Mick O'Rourke, President and CEO of Signature Bank, Chicago's business bank. I'd like to thank our customers for selecting Signature as their trusted banking partner to help build their businesses. We started Signature in 2006, and we've had the opportunity to meet so many hardworking Chicagoans. From third-generation family-owned businesses on the west side of Chicago to tech innovators at 1871. Signature Bank is proud to work across many different industries in the city and beyond. As the fastest growing, independently owned business bank in Chicago, Signature is always welcoming new customers. I'd love to meet you and learn about your business.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Staples has the supplies you need to run your business like a boss this year. Right now, buy one HP ink and get the second at 30% off, so you can stock up and save. Ends 1/12/19. Restrictions may apply. See store or staples.com for details. Staples.
It's 6:08. Let's check the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim Talamonte.
In Westchester this morning, expect congestion at the intersection of Surback and Manheim. Traffic lights are flashing red. In Carpentersville, the intersection of 31 and Main Street is closed for fallen power cables. The Edens Expressway is looking good at this hour. The Kennedy's still okay, getting a little bit congested around 190. Inbound Eisenhower has delays from Manheim to 25th. 1st Avenue to Harlem, and Ashland to the Burns Circle. It's 33 minutes, 390 to downtown. How about 29? Mount Stevenson traffic hits the brakes, Harlem to Kedzie. 42 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Ryan is 20 minutes, 95th to downtown. Bishop Ford, 22 minutes, 8094 to the Merge. That's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte from the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center and meteorologist Steve Williams.
Times of clouds and sun, windy and cold today, high 25. Mainly clear, seasonably cold tonight, low 15. Tomorrow, partly sunny with a high 28. And then cloudy on Friday with a high 35. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Currently, we have 19 degrees, a wind chill of 3 above at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Make sure to check out the Income Store live video stream of today's show right now at 560theanswer.com.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Today is gonna be the day that you're gonna go and build the wall. Right now, Congress is shut down because they don't want to give you it all. I don't believe that anybody feels the way I do about the wall. Because, Jose, you're gonna have to go away.
Not yet. Not yet. President made the case. Pelosi and Pagliacci had the response. Here's the president describing the principle at stake.
This is a humanitarian crisis, a crisis of the heart and a crisis of the soul.
And here's what he proposed to congressional Democrats.
The proposal from Homeland Security includes cutting-edge technology for detecting drugs, weapons, illegal contraband, and many other things. We have requested more agents, immigration judges, and bed space to process the sharp rise in unlawful migration fueled by our very strong economy. Our plan also contains an urgent request for humanitarian assistance and medical support. Furthermore, we have asked Congress to close border security loopholes so that illegal immigrant children can be safely and humanely returned back home. Finally, as part of an overall approach to border security, law enforcement professionals have requested $5.7 billion for a physical barrier. At the request of Democrats, it will be a steel barrier rather than a concrete wall. This barrier is absolutely critical to border security. It's also what our professionals at the border want and need. This is just common sense.
And so it's important to get that piece of what he had to say because it gives lie to the left's claim that all Trump has is the wall, the wall, the wall. The wall is a representation of the larger issue of border security. It has been and continues to be the position of the administration, all of the above, personnel, technology, infrastructure.
I was impressed. He was very presidential. I mean, he was sharp. He had the facts in place. And that's true. 1 in 3 women, you mentioned last night, were sexually assaulted on their way to try and get to America. People die trying to get here. And if you have a wall, they're less likely to come and try to sneak into this country. It's true. And I thought he was very effective. And I was very pleased that he did not declare a national emergency. That would have fed into the Democratic hype. You know, he's manufacturing a hell of a crisis for himself and all those headlines. I'm glad he just stuck to the facts and talked about it's a humanitarian crisis, not a national emergency.
I think, again, common sense wins the day here, and so just stick to it. You have a winning hand. Go ahead and play it, and he continued to. So that's the proposal. It's just common sense. And then he took up the morality and immorality of the respective sides' positions per the claims that he's somehow acting with malice here.
Some have suggested a barrier is immoral. Then why do wealthy politicians build walls, fences, and gates around their homes? They don't build walls because they hate the people on the outside, but because they love the people on the inside. The only thing that is immoral is the politicians to do nothing and continue to allow more innocent people to be so horribly victimized.
So President Trump then turned the microphone over to Pelosi and Pagliacci. Excuse me. We're still taking your internet memes and best tweets about those two standing side by side.
And your phone calls, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line.
This was a good one. One of our listeners caught. I missed it. Greg Gutfeld, from Fox, tweeted, it felt like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer were trying to sell me a reverse mortgage. Pretty good.
Or some silver.
Yeah.
And there's some gold mines you should invest in, too.
It did feel a little bit like a late-night infomercial, didn't it? Bruce.
They talked to us before they got tucked into bed. We're going to go have our Jell-O now.
Yeah, they were
and
let off back to the assisted living facility.
They gave him his loafers.
Bruce in Bloomingdale, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, how you doing? All Chuck and Nancy needed was a pitchfork, and it would have looked like a modern-day American Gothic. For a minute, I thought I was watching a Herman and Lily Munster lecture me on morality.
All right, thanks, Bruce. Boy, from American Gothic to the Munsters, what range. Fortunately, Grant Wood was not alive to see is not alive to see all of these internet memes because American Gothic seems to be the most popular meme.
Somebody else texted. It looked like when mom and dad are disappointed.
Yeah, we're not angry. We're disappointed.
And you're grounded.
Jim in Sheboygan.
So, Dan, I don't disagree with you very often, but in this case I do. I think Trump has been very consistent all along with wanting money for the border wall. In fact, I think he's even gotten some money for the border wall earlier. Designs have been done. Contractors have been selected.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, he didn't push and didn't have a laser focus on it like you're talking about, but a lot of that was because Obama administration and bureaucrats were creating chaos. And a lot of Republicans weren't on board, didn't know where he was going to go the first year. Now he's kind of got his base around him. He's got, even Lindsey Graham is now supporting him. I mean, he had to do it now as a last stand, but I still think he was consistent all along.
I don't disagree that he was consistent in the desire for it, but the issue is execution. And yes, he faced some resistance from a lot of quarters, as he's faced resistance from day one. But my point is to say he was at the height of his political capital in the first 100 days before he really got sort of beset and sidetracked with the Mueller investigation and some other matters, of course. And that was the time not just to wait for congressional Republicans to do what they should do, but to lead, to put Paul Ryan on the dime, to put Mitch McConnell on the dime and say, this has to happen. I want this to happen in my first budget, in our first budget. I want this to be there. I want to get this done. I want to be, fully in the implementation phase by the midterm elections. That's the way you lead and make sure it gets done.
And I don't disagree with that. I just see that Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell, they were wavering those first 100 days. They were wavering the first 6 months.
Sure. No question.
I just don't know.
No question. Yeah.
I just don't. I don't see how he could have got it done earlier. And I do think he had some limited successes. But anyway, I don't disagree with you often. I'm going to stick with that. Bye.
Thanks for the call, Jim.
I'm reading. Yeah. Oh, go on.
Well, I just want to say on this, here's the bottom line is that is so central to his candidacy. And it's important policy in one respect, and it's important symbolism in even a bigger respect, I think, in terms of the success or failure of his administration. So something that's central, if that's the main thing as a starting point, there's always going to be, 5 priorities. But if that's the main thing as a signal that this is going to get done, that there's a new sheriff in town, that the swamp is going to get drained, that these debates to nowhere that we've been having for 3 generations are going to come to some productive close so that we can build on one success to rethink how we do immigration in this country, then you got to spend your political capital there. Then you got to make sure that happens. Then you can't leave office or put yourself up for re-election before that gets done. And so it's all hands on deck to make sure that gets done when you have your strongest hand, which is your party in power in Congress.
Wasn't he still trying to figure out Washington? It was.
Hey, man.
He hasn't been there before.
You're on the clock. There's all kinds of excuses. There's all kinds of understandable reasons why it didn't happen. There was no glide path. It was never going to be easy. Nothing is with all of these, squirming appetites and interests among the leadership of both parties. But hey, you wanted the job. You're the president. This is your agenda. It either fails or succeeds, and you wear the jacket for it.
Maybe he, prolonged it to energize the base for his upcoming election in 2 years. That's what I kept thinking yesterday. There's a reason for everything, and I'm all about timing.
Maybe that's possible. I think that is possible. I just don't think that's what really went down. But if you think that he is this 8-dimensional chess player, and he didn't really want it because he wants to use that, as you said, to whip the base to keep them energized, then that's possible. I just don't think that's what the issue is. Harold in New York, New York.
Good morning.
Morning.
Yes, I'm an African-American male, and I was watching the president last night,
And I wish he would just hit on the fact that the African-American community is the most adversely affected from illegal immigration. Drugs, gangs, unemployment.
Well, just not to interrupt, but just real quick, I'm quoting from the transcript of his speech. All Americans are hurt by uncontrolled illegal immigration. It strains public resources, drives down jobs and wages. Among those hardest hit are African Americans and Hispanic Americans.
Well, I heard him say that, but I just wish he would have delved into it more, because half of the drugs and shootings in Chicago are gang related.
Yes.
And it's drug related. And it's ridiculous that the CBC, Congressional Black Circus, I call them, has not taken a stand for the black community. I have not heard a peep out of one of them speaking against illegal immigration. Coretta Scott King spoke against it, and Barbara Jordan, the Democrat, was investigated illegal immigration under Clinton, and she came up with the same facts.
Yeah. All right. Very good. Thanks for the call, Harold. No, it's a fair point. And frankly, this is something where conservative Republicans can use the issues that Harold is raising to press back against some of the corporate financier Republicans who want to turn a blind eye to this problem at the border. We have a lot of those in Chicago. Verlon on the South Side.
Every president, when they step into office, has to make whatever issue their number one issue. When Obama was in office, immigration was on the table. That was a very big issue, but he chose to do health care. When Donald Trump stepped in office, you had ISIS on the table, you had immigration on the table, you got this wall that's on the table, you had health care on the table, which was getting rid of Obamacare was the biggest thing since sliced bread. You had Rush Limbaugh, everybody harping this 1/6 of our economy. He chose to take care of ISIS. He chose to try to get a travel ban for Muslim extremists in play, and he was fought by the court system every step of the way. He's been tried about 5 or 6 different ways to try to get a border funding for this wall. So you can't really get on his back. He's been fighting the war on every front. This is the biggest issue on his table, but he had many that was pressing him at that time. So we got to cut this man some slack.
Well, thanks for the call, Verlon. I'm cutting him some slack. I'm just saying, look, every president is going to have many exigencies he has to deal with simultaneously. But there is a sequencing to it, and you make sequencing choices. And I say again, go back to the value proposition of his candidacy. Make America Great Again. Okay, that's the slogan. But what was the overriding symbol? Not a MAGA hat. I mean, policy symbol. The wall.
The wall. Everything's been the wall.
And I mean, you can take McConnell and Ryan and congressional Republicans to task all you want, and the courts and everybody else, and the P hats and all these assembled forces that he has to deal with. Ultimately, the buck stops on his desk. That's what we want, right? He's accountable for the choices he makes, and he will be held responsible for the successes or failures that are going to be the product of a lot of people. But ultimately, he will be judged first because he's the President of the United States. So let's just be honest about that. And this is why I think, he really needs to dig in and make sure that he buttresses some weak-kneed Republicans on this partial shutdown to get this going, to get what he needs to get this going, so that come 2020, there is tangible evidence that he accomplished what he said he would in his first term. Jim in Rogers Park.
Yeah, I disagree with you too, and not only for all the reasons they just said, but also, if I remember correctly, Trump put out a deal that had to do with DACA, staying for the wall, right? Mm-hmm. And that was thrown away. That bargaining chip when the Ninth District Court overruled that the time limit would expire and all that kind of stuff. And you keep saying about honesty and responsibility. The honesty and responsibility is that when there's a media outlet that's supposed to convince people of how great the president is so that they vote Republican to help support him, and you failed. You failed to do that. It's not that he had the clock ticking for 2 years.
What?
He depended on people like you to make sure that you convince independent voters instead of always talking against them and getting the independent voters that are on the fence to wonder what they should do.
Yeah.
There's you and Joe Bag of Donuts, blah, blah, blah. Trump should do this. Trump should do that. Let the man do his job. He's done so much.
Okay. Hey, Jim.
He tried to do it right away.
Yeah,
Jim. He tried to do it right away.
Jim.
He tried to do it right away, and the opportunity was taken away, so he did the other dozen things that he's accomplished.
So Jim, let me just understand something. So
why should he only have 2 years, Dan?
Bye, Jim. If you're not going to let anybody else talk, then you can't continue to filibuster. Okay? Get a hold of yourself. I'm not hysterical about this. I'm making a point about Trump. If you want us just to pipe in like Trump clips for 4 hours or the entire broadcasting day, then you're at the wrong station. And by the way, no, it's not our responsibility to make sure people vote Republican. That's not our charge. It's not our responsibility to be an echo chamber for everything the president says and does. Not our charge, and I'm not going to do that. I will support the things that he does that I agree with and oppose the things I don't, and explain my position, and other people can explain theirs. We'll have a conversation about it, trying to get to the same place. It's working about strategic decisions, in some cases, substantive positions. And the president is not infallible, and I'm not infallible, and that's why we have discussions about it. So get a hold of yourself. Get a hold of yourself. There's no surrender here. And by the way, just a point of order, if you ever want to talk on this show again, and you want to come across as reasonable and intelligent, don't ever compare me to the person that you compared me to.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
The quivers, the shivers, goosebumps. That's what our customers say before 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning repairs their furnace. Call us. We'll fix it right, stand by our work, and give you our straightforward pricing, which means no hourly charges. How's that for goosebumps? Right now, get big savings on any heating repair. Call 855-1-HOUR.
Your comfort is just a call away. Call 1 Hour.
Terms and conditions may apply. Call for details. Independently owned and operated. Licensed in the respective state or county.
Here's a great way to start a new year with the MyPillow 4-pack offer. You'll get 2 premium MyPillows and 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows plus free shipping, all for the normal price of 1 premium MyPillow. You can't get that deal in a store. And you've been hearing me tell you for years that they're the best pillows money can buy, because they are. The bottom line is you'll sleep better and you will feel better. Plus, they're washable and dryable and has a money-back guarantee offer if you're not happy. And here's more good news. You can still get 30% off everything else, including the MyPillow mattress topper and those pet beds that I love, because you can throw them in the washer and dryer. Just be sure to use the promo code Amy to get the MyPillow 4-pack offer with free shipping and that 30% discount on everything in the store. See what they have. Go to MyPillow.com, and when you check out, use the promo code Amy for 30% off, or call 800-489-0201. That's 800-489-0201. Promo code Amy.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies in a capsule.
I thought I had a sinus headache for a few days, but I had a massive brain aneurysm, hemorrhage of the brain, and a stroke. And I was on my deathbed. I was on a respirator in a coma for 35 days. And 3 months later, I came home in a wheelchair. I had double vision. I had to learn to walk again, to speak again. 1 and 1 is 2, write the alphabet. You know, if I went out and did a little something, I'd come home, I'd be in bed. Now I'm up by like 5:30 in the morning, and I go to the gym. I do shopping. I cook. I have energy all day. I mean, I feel great. Overall, my whole outlook, just feeling, my mental aspect, everything is better.
For a limited time, use discount code CHICAGO, and we'll take 35% off your first preferred set of fruits and veggies and have them shipped to you free. Call 800-246-8751. That's 1-800-246-8751, or go online to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We're going to bring it back locally, take a break from the discussion on immigration, the speeches last night, and talk to former Chicago Police Chief Gary McCarthy, candidate for mayor, in our continued series of presenting the candidates for mayor of Chicago. February 26th is the primary date. You'll hear from Gary McCarthy at 6:36.
And he's been quite quiet on the Ed Burke indictment and Ed Burke's involvement with other candidates. We'll start there with him. But first, let's get into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, good morning. Good morning, everyone. We have 20 degrees and a wind chill of 5 above right now. It depends on how hard that wind is blowing this morning. President Trump claiming there is a growing humanitarian and security crisis at the U.S.-Mexico border. Meantime, the president went on in a address heard right here on AM 560, The Answer last night from the White House, that Democrats are to blame for the ongoing partial shutdown of the federal government. In fact, the president says he wants to meet again with Democrats today.
I have invited congressional leadership to the White House tomorrow to get this done. Hopefully, we can rise above partisan politics in order to support national security.
However, Democrat Senator Sherrod Brown of Ohio argues the ongoing shutdown is beginning to hurt families.
The president needs to understand the pain this is inflicting because of his temper tantrum in shutting the government down. We have passed a bill unanimously in the Senate. The president says he won't sign. He needs to sign a strong bipartisan bill.
Brown met with TSA workers yesterday. Another Marine general is leaving the Trump administration. Anthony Zinni resigning as the administration's envoy to talks aimed at ending the year-and-a-half-long dispute between Saudi Arabia and U.S. ally Qatar. Zinni yesterday says he's only stepping down because he believes the two sides have reached an impasse. No criminal charges filed against Chef Mario Batali in 2 cases of sexual misconduct at his New York City restaurants. The NYPD says one case falls outside the statute of limitations. The other lacks evidence. Batali quit his co-hosting gig on ABC's The Chew television program when the allegations emerged. Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx calling for any possible victims of R. Kelly to come forward. Foxx made the request yesterday after accusations of sexual misconduct against the R&B singer were leveled in a new docu-series. A North Suburban Waukegan man is accused of locking his daughter in a basement because he thought she was possessed by a demon. The man has now been found mentally fit to stand trial. Randy Swopes will be back in a Lake County courtroom January 15. Actor Jim Parsons this morning says no thanks to $50 million. Turned down that $50 million to appear in a 13th season of the CBS television series Big Bang Theory. Parson, who plays Dr. Sheldon Cooper on the show, believes he's done just about as much as he can with the concept. He also points out that at age 45, he's a bit old to play a character who always wears T-shirts. Bulls set to begin a 5-game road trip tonight in Portland. Sox bolstering their bullpen with the addition of Calvin Herrera. College basketball last night here on AM 560 in the MAC. Northern Illinois earning a road win over Miami. The news, a service of Staples. Staples has the supplies you need to run your business like a boss this year. Right now, buy one HP ink and get the second at 30% off, so you can stock up and save. Ends 1/12/19. Restrictions may apply. See store or staples.com for details. Staples. 6:34, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Hi, this is Amy Jacobson, and you'll have to wait until spring to get the outside of your house painted, but winter, perfect opportunity to get your interior painted. You know, people walk into my kitchen and ask, Amy, did you get new cabinets? No, I save myself thousands of dollars by simply having them painted by the experts at CertaPro Painters. So cross the first project off your 2019 to-do list. CertaPro Painters will ensure a beautiful transformation of your home. And if you want some help with colors, they've got you covered. In-home with a color consultation or online with their color visualizer. Don't put it off. Time to hire CertaPro Painters, your residential and commercial painting experts. You can schedule a free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C, or call 1-800-GO-CERTA. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Get a free estimate at CertaPro.com or call 1-800-GO-CERTA. CertaPro Painters, we do painting, you do life.
It's Dr. David Kolbaba.
It's our winter survival kit for this cold and flu season. It's power-packed with natural ingredients, and unlike the flu shot, it's safe and effective. First, it's our Sunny C1000. It's highly absorbable and it does not suppress your body's natural killer cells like most other vitamin C supplements do. And when you purchase your first bottle of our Sunny C1000, I promise to include scientific data to back it up. And I'll also include a vitamin C dosage chart for you to customize how much is best for you, whether you're fighting off a cold or flu or you want a preventative dose to keep you from getting a cold or flu. Sunny C1000, it's easy on the stomach and it's essential in fighting illness. And when you order your Sunny C1000 today, be sure to get more information on the rest of our winter survival kit. Call 800-794-1855. It's our Health Quest Radio hotline. And be sure to listen to Health Quest Radio with me, Dr. David Kolbaba, this Saturday morning at 11. But for now, that number again, 800-794-1855.
Policies issued by American General Life Insurance Company, Houston, Texas. Not available in all states. For details, visit AIGdirect.com.
Do you have a family? Would you like to help make sure they'll be taken care of if anything were to happen to you? If you answered yes, you probably need life insurance. Now, do you think life insurance is expensive? If you answered yes to that too, you definitely need to give AIG Direct a call. We could find you a $250,000 policy for just $14 a month, which means you could save hundreds of dollars a year. Call us now for a free, no-obligation quote. 1-800-600-4850. Since 1995, we've helped millions of people find out if they could save up to 70% on their term life insurance. See how affordably we can help you protect your family. Call AIG Direct now for your free quote. 1-800-600-4850. You could save up to 70%. That's 1-800-600-4850. 1-800-600-4850.
637. Let's get a check on the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim Telemonte.
In South Elgin, there's a crash on Stearns at McLean. In Carpentersville, 31 remains shut down at Main Street with fallen power cables. About Eden's, traffic's heavy Cicero to Montrose. 21 minutes, Lake Cook Junction, outbound 19. On Kennedy, jamming up Cumberland to Austin with a crash in the left lane. 31 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 22. Inbound Eisenhower delays start around Manheim. It's 37 minutes, 390 to downtown, outbound 31. And Stevenson, looking at 43 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 34. Ryan, 24 minutes, 95 to downtown. I-57, 16 minutes, I-80 to the merge, Bishop 420. Northbound Tri-State heavy from the Reagan tollway to the Eisenhower. The other tollways are okay. It's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte. From the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center. Windy, much colder, times of clouds and sun, high 25. Currently 18 degrees at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by On Target Radio. From firearms and Second Amendment rights to personal freedoms and government intrusions. Listen here Sunday nights at 9.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy, continuing our series, talking to Chicago's mayoral candidates. A lot of Chicago mayoral candidates. Dem City, okay, but they're making a play for center-right voters, like many of our listeners, because when it's a race to 15% in a crowded field, the 15% of, frankly, Republican voters in Chicago matter. And it was interesting. We had good conversations yesterday with Gary Chico, with Paul Vallis, and sort of the candidate that's really captured my imagination.
Oh, right.
Chicago party ant.
Are you going to be? Somebody asked me if that was Bruce Wolf, who is Chicago Party Ant, the voice of.
It's the voice sounded similar, but the difference was Chicago Party Ant's funny. That's the subtle difference.
And a little more sane.
We're continuing our conversation with those who want to have one with Gary McCarthy, who's been on the show before, of course, former Chicago police chief and a candidate for mayor of Chicago, February 26th. Gary, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it. Do we have Gary? Hello.
Gary?
Gary, do we got you? Do we have Gary?
Maybe he was mad.
It's maybe Chicago's party ant is interrupting
the
our
line.
broadcast. He doesn't want us to compare and contrast. All right, well, we're going to have to get Gary back. I thought we had him on the line. But anyway, the conversation I want to have with McCarthy, at least at the outset, I know you want to talk to him about Burke, but we started not talking as much because of the high-profile indictment by Burke about crime in Chicago, which is public safety in Chicago, still a big issue. We had another decline in violent crime last year, so that's 3 years in a row. So that's the good news.
Homicide rates down.
Right. Yeah,
107.
So we had about round numbers here, not to be cavalier with individual lives,
I know,
but
it
just
sounds awful.
for statistical purposes, just to give you a sense of direction. About 800 murders 3 years ago, about 700 murders 2 years ago, about 600 murders last year. So that's progress, but it is still more murder. Even with that progress, more murders last year in Chicago than New York and L.A. combined.
Really?
With obviously 5 times the combined population of Chicago.
And
so there's still something else going on here, not going on here in terms of public safety, different than other big cities like L.A. and New York. And so let's start our conversation with Gary McCarthy. Gary, are you with us?
I am with you.
Okay, great. Great. Thanks
I
for
don't know
joining
what
us, Dan.
happened there.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Well, first of all, I'm glad you're back, Dan.
I actually know him, Mr. McCarthy.
I heard
We're friends.
I heard a little bit about that. All right, we'll try to keep the
We won't be screaming at you.
the intensity to a minimum here. But
it wouldn't be the worst thing.
we were talking about I don't know if you heard it. So 3 years ago, round numbers, 800 murders. 2 years ago, 700 murders. Last year, 600 murders. Good news that it's on the decline. Bad news, still more homicides than New York and L.A. combined. So where are we with improving public safety in Chicago?
We're actually nowhere, Dan, and I'm glad you asked that question because over the last 3 years, in other words, 16, 17, and 18, compared to 13, 14, and 15, my last 3 years as superintendent, there's 658 more murders over the last 3 years. So, we don't want to compare ourselves to the increase that we suffered in 2016, which was about an 80% increase in the murder rate. And it's not that hard to bring down numbers that are just out of control like that. So, as you say, we're still in really poor shape compared to where we could be. 770 murders in 2016 compared to New York that had 290 last year in a city 3 times the size of Chicago. It's just unacceptable. Well, it doesn't have to be like this.
Well, and let me ask you that. So you worked with Eddie Johnson when you were Chicago police chief. There's been some candidates have weighed in on him in terms of whether they would keep him or not keep him.
Preckwinkle and Chico would get rid of him right away.
What's your assessment of Eddie Johnson, and to the extent that you would replace him, is what's happening on the streets of Chicago fundamentally an Eddie Johnson problem, or is it a civilian political leadership problem?
It's kind of both. I promoted Eddie twice. I really like Eddie. Eddie did a great job with the community. He has done a great job with the community based upon some of the problems that the department went through. But we've also abandoned the crime plan that we put in place that was recognized by the president and the Department of Justice as the best practices in policing. And everybody forgets about that. I want you to think about this, and if you can, go back and look at the 21st Century Task Force report that President Obama put together, where they collected the best practices across the country. And 90% of those, more than 90%, came straight out of the plan that we were doing here in Chicago. It's data-driven policing, where we know when, where, and who is committing crime. We get there first, and we prevent the next crime from happening. We abandoned that because of the politics of Chicago. And I want to point out that the first worst case of a video with policing that actually blew up was the quote-unquote chokehold death of Eric Garner in New York City.
Right.
New York City did not abandon the plan. They did not reverse course. They did not conduct the witch hunts within the department. They did not fire Bill Bratton. And as a result, New York City is still moving forward while we took a huge step backwards, resulting in mass murder here. The politics of this city emboldened criminals and hamstrung the police all at the same time. So there's a number of things that happen, but it doesn't have to be like this. We need somebody with the audacity to stop doing the things that we've been doing here in Chicago, the Chicago way. I mean, we certainly see that today.
Sure, we do. His
Ned Burke scandal.
his name's Bill Daley, the change agent.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard he's going to get rid of nepotism.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's his first line of order if he gets elected.
but you know what, Dan and Amy? Nobody seems to care that a whole bunch of politicians and bureaucrats. I actually said that the 90s called. They want their politicians and bureaucrats back. But a whole bunch of people jumped into this race when Rahm dropped out.
I know.
Those
wimps.
That's the old guard that's going to keep this place in the same place that it's in right now, which is going backwards.
All right. Well, speaking of the old guard, seem to be fairly quiet on the Ed Burke indictment and his relationship and fundraising efforts for Tony Preckwinkle, and Gary Chico was at his house and all this. Do you think that any of the candidates should step down because of their relationship with Ed Burke? And how do you feel about Ed Burke?
Well, I certainly hope that he's going to be okay. He's done incredible public service for the city for a very long time. If the allegations are true, they're very problematic. And I see this as part of the culture of illegitimacy that we suffer in city government here in Chicago. This is not about Ed Burke. There's been about 100 aldermen have served since 1972, and fully a third of them have been arrested, indicted, or gone to jail.
And the other 2/3 should have been.
They just didn't get caught, right? Yeah. But this is the Chicago way. This is the city where we don't want nobody sent. Call it what you will, and people tell me it's never going to change. And my answer is it's never going to change until somebody changes it. And I do think that people like Tony Preckwinkle, with Dana Mendoza right now. Oh, right, she's in Springfield getting sworn in for her job.
Yeah.
Yeah. This stuff is unacceptable, yet we shrug our shoulders and we accept it as if it's never going to change. This is the way it's supposed to be.
Well, what's
Tony
I'm sorry to interrupt, but what structural changes on sort of the ethics front would you suggest? You've heard Daley talking about reducing the number of aldermen. Chico's talking about maybe reducing some of the feudalism in terms of how the city council operates. Outside employment should be prohibited. What's your approach to that?
Well, I think a number of those things may help. But one of the things I'm talking about, and I'm being serious, is we're talking about judicial oversight for the police department with a consent decree. Perhaps we should have the same thing with city government, considering that it's government that oversees the police department, streets and sands, the fire department, and all the other agencies that are subject to the same illegitimacy that we've been suffering through for decades here in the city. Maybe it's time to get the feds to come in and really investigate all these various components of city government. There's structural changes that need to be made, and I could talk about the ones in the police department that I recommended back in 2012 when I identified the dysfunction of the disciplinary system of the department. But as far as the rest of the city goes, I'm absolutely sure that all we have to do is turn over one rock, and we're going to have to turn over 50.
Yeah, well, we need some revenue here. So are you on board with casinos, legalizing marijuana?
Actually, I'm already, months ago, I talked about casinos, and as long as we close the back door on the crime that's involved with the legalization of marijuana, there's two things about legalization that we have to make sure that we fix before we move forward. First of all, just like wise guys launder their money, the cartels are laundering their weed through the legalization process in places like Colorado and California. We do not want to support the cartels. So we have to make sure that we're keeping an eye on that. The second thing is we have to make sure that we have a place where we can deposit the money, because it's a cash business in places like Colorado, which nobody seems to care about the fact that shootings, murders, and robberies went through the roof because people are walking around with thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah, see if Paul Powell's shoebox is
simple.
available.
Yeah, it's not as simple as people think. And, we got to make sure that we look behind the curtain a little bit. But I'm okay with both of those things. I actually was the first one talking about casinos in the airports, because you spend a lot of time sitting still at O'Hare when your plane gets canceled. So go spend some money and give us some.
But Gary, let's think this through a little bit more, or get a little bit more from you on this. Because, is that really the vision, the best vision for Chicago? Are we sort of in a sad place when we have to turn ourselves into sort of Vegas Midwest to try and keep the house of cards that is city government operating?
Yeah, agreed, Dave. But you know what? the fire alarms should be going off, and they're not. They should be going off in the state, and there's so many different levels that this should be happening. So we do have to do what we can to generate revenue. But, the other thing that I talk about is we got to get the city into the black. We've got to stop political spending, and we've got to do needs-based spending. And I could talk about things like the police academy that we don't need. I could talk about the Navy Pier flyover and investing another $10 million into the riverfront. We've got people who are suffering.
What about on the growth side? I mean, you've got to make this place a place that people want to come to. And as you said, it's a city problem. It's a state problem. People are fleeing Illinois and Chicago like it's on fire. And if you're not growing, you're dying. So how do you make this place more attractive at the same time, if you're talking about syntaxes, regressive gambits like gambling and drugs, or real taxes on work or consumption, including increasing property taxes? How do you do that? How do you grow the city?
Well, it first starts by making the city safe. I'm looking at the news again this morning, and one of the things that I can't get over is we never fix things. We put Band-Aids on gunshot wounds and think that we're doing something special. We have to close Water Tower Place early because of mob actions. We've got carjackings on Lakeshore Drive. We've got shootings on Michigan Avenue. I mean, who would want to come here? I don't think Amazon came here because of the crime problem. We've got to first make the city safe. That's what we have to do before anything is going to change here. We've got to recognize that. Then we have to start developing the neighborhoods. It's not just about the downtown. We can hold on to downtown and have some economic stimulus in neighborhoods by, first of all, using TIF funds according to the way that the law prescribes we should use them in blighted neighborhoods. But secondly, we need to bring back vocational schools. We have to teach people to fish, not give them a fish. And then we have to give startups and small businesses economic stimulus through tax incentives to go to those neighborhoods to create an environment where people have a job now that we have a trained workforce. And then what we could do is assume some of those abandoned properties that we're selling for $1 a piece, rehab them, and create affordable housing all at the same time. So the three biggest problems that are vexing the city cannot be separated out. You can't separate the crime from the taxes from the education system that are all failing at the same time. They all have to be treated holistically. If we win one and lose two, we're not going to move forward. You have to win all three of those at the same time to make the city move forward.
He is Gary McCarthy. Gary, where can people get more information? A website, people get more information on your candidacy?
Gary for Mayor, which is naturally Gary with 2 R's, that I've been explaining my whole life. It's my maternal grandmother's maiden name.
Oh, there you go. All right.
GaryForMayor.com.
GaryForMayor.com. He's Gary McCarthy, former Chicago police chief, candidate for mayor, February 26th. Gary, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
If you're talking about it, Dan and Amy are talking about it. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
I'm Keith Peters in for Lou Dobbs. New York mayor breaks the bank on health insurance, consumer borrowing up over $22 billion, and the Supreme Court won't delve into an egg controversy. Those stories next.
If you could do something to protect your family with just 10 minutes effort, would you bother? If something should ever happen to you, that 10-minute effort could mean the difference between hardship and financial security for your loved ones. Life insurance is something most people don't like to think about. Too many people do nothing until it's too late. The reason? People expect it'll be a big hassle. Ethos changes all that. Ethos is modern life insurance for people who don't have the time for fine print, extra doctor's appointments, or hidden fees. Ethos is affordable. It only takes about 10 minutes to apply online, and you'll be taking the first step in ensuring your family has the help they need to maintain the life you're building for them, even if the unexpected happens. Ethos brings you choices that don't require an in-person meeting with an agent, and in most cases, there's no need for a doctor's appointment. Ethos, life insurance for the 21st century. Apply online in just 10 minutes. Get a free quote now at getethos.com. That's getethos.com. Getethos.com.
Democrats accused of being big spenders have a new poster child. Mayor Bill de Blasio has committed his city to use taxpayer funds to guarantee comprehensive health insurance for over 500,000 residents. The cost? $100 million. Americans slowed the pace of their borrowing in November, but it grew by a strong $22.1 billion anyway. The Federal Reserve says boosts in student loans and auto financing offset a slowdown in the use of credit cards. The Fed's report also excludes the new figures for home mortgages in November. The U.S. Supreme Court won't preside over two challenges to laws in Massachusetts and California. Among other things, the laws bar the sales of eggs from hens raised in confined spaces that don't let them stretch out. Please join me for Lou Dobbs tonight at 7 and 10 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
If you're serious about improving your home, why not make it easy? Don't miss the free Oakbrook Home and Garden Show, January 19th and 20th at the Drury Lane Theater and Event Center. Come see hundreds of the latest home products and services for thousands of the freshest ideas to remodel, repair, and beautify your home. Speak with local and national experts who are eager to help you find the best solution for all your home improvement needs. You'll find everything for your home, from the ultimate in-outdoor furniture to the latest and greatest home appliances. And don't miss one of the many free, informative seminars running throughout the weekend, including expert advice on the latest in kitchen design presented by award-winning Normandy Remodeling. From interiors to exteriors, from decor to outdoor, you'll find all at the Home and Garden Show, January 19th and 20th at Drury Lane, just north of the Oakbrook Shopping Center, with free admission and free valet parking. For more details, please visit oakbrookhomeshow.com. That's oakbrookhomeshow.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies in a capsule.
I had cancer. I have fibromyalgia. I have nerve damage and fatigue. I have thalassemia. I'm hypoglycemic. So my life since cancer, I've had to learn how to live with it. But starting Balance of Nature, I felt it the first month. I felt different. It made such a difference that now I wake up, my head feels clearer, I have more energy. Very rarely does my body cramp up anymore. It's the best thing. It's just amazing. I don't know what to say. I just would not be what I am today if I didn't start Balance of Nature.
For a limited time, use discount code CHICAGO, and we'll take 35% off your first preferred set of fruits and veggies and have them shipped to you free. Call 800-246-8751 or go online to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
Hi, this is Amy Jacobson, and you'll have to wait until spring to get the outside of your house painted, but winter, perfect opportunity to get your interior painted. You know, people walk into my kitchen and ask, Amy, did you get new cabinets? No, I save myself thousands of dollars by simply having them painted by the experts at CertaPro Painters. So cross the first project off your 2019 to-do list. CertaPro Painters will ensure a beautiful transformation of your home. And if you want some help with colors, they've got you covered. In-home with a color consultation or online with their color visualizer. Don't put it off. Time to hire CertaPro Painters, your residential and commercial painting experts. You can schedule a free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C, or call 1-800-GO-CERTA. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Get a free estimate at CertaPro.com or call 1-800-GO-CERTA. CertaPro Painters, we do painting, you do life.
Thinking about life insurance? What if you could make one free phone call and learn your best price from nearly a dozen highly rated, price-competitive companies? Well, that's exactly what happens when you call SelectQuote Life. For example, George is 40. He was getting sky-high quotes from other companies because he takes meds to control his blood pressure. But when I shopped around, I found him a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $25 a month. I'm SelectQuote agent Dan Savino. And believe me, if SelectQuote isn't shopping for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 800-607-3551. That's 800-607-3551. 800-607-3551 or go to SelectQuote.com. Since 1985, we shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Or price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer. What's happening? What does it mean? Why is it important? We've got The Answer. AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago.
They'll meet again today.
I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The morning after President Trump and Democratic leaders sparred on primetime TV.
There is a growing humanitarian and security crisis at our southern border.
And calling for a steel wall to stop illegal immigration and close
a pipeline for vast quantities of illegal drugs, including meth, heroin, cocaine, and fentanyl.
And the president added,
hopefully, we can rise above partisan politics in order to support national security.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi responded,
the fact is, President Trump has chosen to hold hostage critical services for the health, safety, and well-being of the American people and withhold the paychecks of 800,000 innocent workers.
And Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer said,
there's an obvious solution. Separate the shutdown from arguments over border security.
And they'll all talk again later at the White House on day 19 of this partial government shutdown. The Deputy Attorney General, who Republicans in Congress had threatened to impeach, is on his way out. Fox's Rachel Sutherland, live in Washington.
Dave, Rod Rosenstein, who for a year and a half oversaw the special counsel's Russia probe, will leave the Justice Department in the coming weeks. He's expected to stay on until a confirmation hearing is held for William Barr, set for next week. Barr is President Trump's pick to replace Jeff Sessions as Attorney General. A source familiar with the nomination says it was unlikely Barr would have accepted if he could not pick his own deputy. Barr will be on Capitol Hill today, making courtesy calls ahead of his confirmation hearing. Dave.
Rachel, Secretary of State Pompeo has gone to Iraq.
Pompeo meeting with American troops and Iraqi leaders. The visit happening as the Secretary of State tours Middle Eastern countries, promoting the Trump administration's hardline stance on Iran. But it also comes amid confusion among American allies about President Trump's plans to withdraw U.S. forces from Syria.
That's Fox's Simon Owen. This is Fox News.
Clear skies, 19 degrees, a wind chill of 4 above at 7:02 on AM 560 The Answer. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Scott. Search is underway to find a 9-year-old boy who went missing on Chicago's South Side. Michael Campbell was last seen yesterday at Harvard Elementary School at 75th and Harvard. He was reported missing after he didn't return home from school. The boy, according to those who were caring for him, was wearing a maroon jacket and shirt, black pants, and orange and blue tennis shoes. Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx is calling for any possible victims of R. Kelly to come forward. Foxx made the request yesterday.
I'm here today to encourage victims of sexual assault or domestic violence related to these allegations to please get in touch with our office.
Foxx made the request after accusations of sexual misconduct against the R&B singer were detailed in a new docu-series. The Illinois Department of Veterans Affairs says it's taking action after a case of Legionnaire's disease was confirmed at a home for veterans. The department says it was alerted Tuesday by hospital medical staff and that a resident of the Manteno Veterans Home had tested positive for the flu-like illness. 7 people, including 2 children, remain hospitalized after a 2-vehicle crash on Chicago's southwest side near 79th and Pulaski. The Illinois State Capitol will be awash in flowers, family, well-wishers, and lobbyists as the legislature begins a new session today, the 101st. And then members, mostly Democrats, are expected to elect Michael Madigan to a 19th term as Speaker. Bulls set to begin a 5-game road trip tonight in Portland. White Sox bolstering their bullpen with the addition of Kelvin Herrera. College hoops last night, Loyola lost to Evansville, and in the MAC, Northern Illinois here on AM 560 earns a road win over Miami. The news, a service of InvisibleFence.com. Millions of pet parents trust Invisible Fence brand with their pets. Invisible Fence's Consumer Digest awarded Boundary Plus technology guaranteed to protect your pet from escaping while providing them the freedom that they deserve. Visit InvisibleFence.com to learn more. InvisibleFence.com. 7:04, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
It's 2019, and this could be the year. Yeah, this could be the year Congress works together.
It's a disgrace what's happening in our country.
This could be the year we build the wall.
They want border security. The people of this country want border security.
This could be the year the Russia investigation comes to an end.
The entire thing has been a witch hunt.
Well, for what could be and what is in 2019. Keep it right here. And Happy New Year. AM 560, The Answer.
All money managers might seem the same, but while some give their clients cookie-cutter portfolios, Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to your goals and needs. Some only call when they have something to sell. Fisher calls regularly, so you stay informed. And while some advisors are happy to earn commissions whether you do well or not, Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when you do better. In other words, we're on your side. Maybe that's why most of our clients come from other money managers. So if you're in or nearing retirement, talk with us and find out why investors are switching to and staying with Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments, clearly better money management. Investments in securities involve the risk of loss. Visit us at FisherInvestments.com to find out what we can do for you.
If you have pain, listen up. Dennis Prager here. You don't need to live in pain. Let me repeat that. You don't have to live in pain. Chronic pain is the worst, whether it's from an accident or pain that just develops. So, Chicagoland, you're in luck. Dr. Ken Candido is one of the nation's most respected and successful pain doctors. He's been voted one of Chicago's best pain doctors several times. Bottom line, he's the pain doctor you need. Dr. Candido of Chicago Anesthesia and Pain Specialists will help you get off pain medication and all of its side effects. How? By finding the source of your chronic pain and fixing it.
This is Ken Candido of Chicago Anesthesia Pain Specialists. Let's make you pain-free.
Call Dr. Ken Candido and make an appointment with a cutting-edge, respected, and successful pain physician. Go to mypainchicago.com. That's mypainchicago.com. Thousands have been helped with their chronic pain, and you can be the next one. Get the phone number and all the info you need at mypainchicago.com.
Get your free credit scorecard today, even if you're not a Discover customer. It includes your FICO credit score, and checking your scorecard won't hurt your credit. Learn more at discover.com/credit scorecard. Limitations apply.
7:07. Check on the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim Talamonte.
On the outbound Edens at Peterson, earlier crash is cleared. Looking at a travel time of about 23 minutes either way from Lake Cook and Montrose. Inbound Kennedy gummed up Cumberland to Austin after a crash. Then more delays kick in at Addison. 35 minutes O'Hare to downtown. 15 from Montrose. 12 in the Express. Outbound 26 minutes to the airport. About Eisenhower. 42 minutes, 390 to downtown, outbound 36. Stevenson, 52 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 36. The Ryan is 28 minutes from 95th to downtown. I-57, 20 minutes, 90 to the Merge, Bishop 427. Northbound Tri-State heavy, the 83rd Street toll to 75th. From Stevenson to the Hinsdale Oasis, and from the Reagan tollway to the Eisenhower. The other tollways are okay. It's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte from the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center. Here's our meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Today it'll be windy and much colder. Times of clouds and sun, the high 25. Clear, seasonably cold tonight, low 15. A partly sunny day tomorrow, high 28. Clouds on Friday with a high at 35. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
19 at O'Hare, 21 along the lake front, and a wind chill of 4 above. Your next news update at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Empowered Investing, the show dedicated to investors. Saturdays at noon on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. President Trump last night in his national address calling the humanitarian crisis at the border a crisis of the nation's heart and soul, and putting this question to opponents of what he's proposing, namely the border barrier.
How much more American blood must we shed before Congress does its job? To those who refuse to compromise in the name of border security, I would ask, imagine if it was your child, your husband or your wife whose life was so cruelly shattered and totally broken?
It was almost like the Kitty Dukakis question to Michael Dukakis from Bertie Shaw. Remember? What if your wife was raped and murdered? It was almost there, and that's sort of been an underreported part of his close. That was a pretty pointed hypothetical that the president offered, and it drew this pointed response from Ocasio-Cortez, AOC. You know me. On with Maddow last night.
We can't get mortgage we cannot get their casework started because we can't even get laptops in the hands of our district offices because the president has decided to hold the paychecks of everyday Americans hostage so that he can fulfill a campaign I don't even want to call it a promise, a campaign fantasy that the vast majority of Americans disapprove of. And not only that, but in the actual address, there was falsehood after falsehood, and we have to make sure that we get our facts straight. Everyday immigrants commit crimes at a far lower rate than native-born Americans. And not only that, but the women and children on that border that are trying to seek refuge and seek opportunity in the United States of America with nothing but the shirt on their backs are acting more American than any person who seeks to keep them out ever will be.
Well, they commit a crime by coming into the country illegally. First off, AOC.
More American than Americans who want border security. Pro-immigration, pro-legal immigration Americans, but who want border security. It's an amazing statement.
Fascinating.
Also, it was weird. She talked about she can fund her caseworkers in her office to go out and do casework for her constituents. She started to say mortgage applications, and then she caught herself.
Yeah,
Why would a congressional office be engaged in helping people fill out mortgage applications? Interesting. Sort of an aside, but I just thought that was odd. The one thing she said I want to address is the issue of illegal immigrants committing less crime than do Americans per capita. There's data on this from the Cato Institute. One comparison, they looked at crime rates by counties in 2017, and border counties had a lower homicide rate and a lower property crime rate than non-border counties. Okay, fine. I'll go wherever the data leaves, but there's a couple things. One, a lot of border counties are rural counties.
Yeah.
A lot of, non-border counties. But a lot of border counties are rural counties, lower crime rate. A lot of non-border counties are urban counties and suburban and exurban, which tend to have more concentration of people, thus much more crime. But even that notwithstanding, the whole issue of they commit crimes at a lower rate, I'm sorry, that is not germane. That is a red herring. The issue is not the rate at which people here illegally commit crimes. The issue is that we seem to be indifferent, the political class, to people here illegally committing crimes. And sometimes they're deported and then they're right back. Or we just shrug our shoulders altogether in the case of the sanctuary city, county, state designees. So I don't care if the frequency was 1 in 100,000, 1 in a million. The point is anybody in this country illegally that is preying on anybody else, including somebody else in this country illegally, should be gone permanently. And we should have a system that gives us something close to certitude on the implementation side. That Cortez argument is made by a lot of Democrats who want to ban ICE and don't want any border barrier, and it just needs to be addressed straight away. For more on this topic and the politics of the immigration and impasse and partial government shutdown, we're pleased to be joined again by our friend Selena Zito. She is Washington Examiner reporter, WashingtonExaminer.com, New York Post columnist, CNN contributor, and the book The Great Revolt: Inside the Populist Coalition, Reshaping American Politics. Selena, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So do you think that Trump advanced his flag at all with the speech last night leading into the meeting today?
Well, I think the president did a couple of things. First of all, he calmed down the hysteria promoted by my profession, that, he was wild with misstatements and was going to declare a national emergency and things of that nature. And he calmed down the hysteria that he was going to be out of control when he gave the presidential speech. He went before the camera, spoke right into the camera, meaning he spoke right to us, the American people, in a very calm and deliberate way. He made 2 points there that I thought were reaching out beyond his base, and you pointed to one of them, which was, the question about what if this was your family? What if this was your family member? But also I thought a very important point that he made that I think's been overlooked when he made the statement that when people put walls up anytime, and he in particular singled out political or wealthy people when they put walls up, they don't put them up to keep people out as much as to protect the people that they love. Yeah. And I thought that was an important point that he made.
And what about him not declaring, a national emergency?
I think that that's something that he is considering, but I don't think he is there yet. So I think it's important that he didn't talk about it because it's not something that he has fleshed out or the White House counsel has fleshed out at this moment.
Chris Murphy said yesterday that Representative Chris Murphy said, Democrat, saying, we were willing to negotiate on border security and border security funding, but not while the government is shut down. It's the same thing that Schumer presented at the end, and the partial shutdown. Then we continue our conversation, which, of course, is just a way to maintain the status quo. But Democrats, it seems to me, clearly think that they can go into a four-corner stall to their political benefit. Is that your assessment?
Well, that's what they think. Look, I think this is where we are right now, that if you support the president or you support border security, you believe that this is a Schumer shutdown. If you do not support the president or you do not support border security, then you think that this is a Trump shutdown. And, there's very little space in the middle to, sort of be agnostic about it. And so that's, I think, where we are right now. The dramatics about people being impacted by this shutdown, yes, people are going to be impacted by the shutdown. Yes, people will not be paid. But that hasn't happened yet. People, they won't be, paychecks will not be, what's the best way to put it?
They're not going to get their paychecks on Friday because the chance to print them was last night, and that has come and gone.
Right.
So do you see that? I mean...
Yeah, but I guess the question is, is there any give in the Republican caucuses right now? Lindsey Graham obviously made some strident comments over the weekend, having Trump's flank on this issue, and suggesting he's not going to go negotiate with people who have nothing to say other than you're a racist if you disagree with me. But where's the caucus? Because obviously, if you can peel off a few Republican senators, then the president starts to have more political trouble ahead if he wants to maintain this posture.
Well, I think the senators he could lose would be senators like Cory Gardner and Susan Collins. But I suspect that, in particular with Gardner, that this is not something that he would publicly throw down, that he would go to the president or he would go to McConnell and say, look, I can't stand by this any longer. So we need to do something, as opposed to just walking over and standing on the other side of the line with the Democrats. If it were, Jeff Flake, that would be a different story.
Yeah.
But he's gone, or Corker, but they're both gone. They had no problem, sticking it to the president. Whereas someone like Gardner and even someone like Susan Collins, I think would do this behind closed doors rather than making a spectacle out of their decision to open the government back up.
As the Trump Midwestern voter whisperer that you are, what is your assessment of how important it is that Trump have a tangible wall border barrier built by the time he stands for re-election in 20?
Well, I think that it's important that he has funding for border security. It didn't need to be a concrete wall for most of his Midwest voters, but the border security, they believed, was never really fundamentally addressed properly. And they believe that is what the president should be doing. A wall from end to end on the border, no, that's not as important as funding for border security, comprehensive funding for border security on the wall. People understand that you can't have a concrete wall along mountain ranges,
right,
or around geographical areas where it's impossible. But there are all kinds of ways to secure that border in a meaningful way that shows that this administration takes border security seriously.
She is Selena Zito, Washington Examiner reporter, New York Post columnist, CNN contributor. The book, The Great Revolt, Inside the Populist Coalition, Reshaping American Politics. Selena, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Famous conservative quotes presented by Automated Systems.
Ronald Reagan wisely stated, "Of the 4 wars in my lifetime, not a single one of them came about because the U.S. was too strong."
Hey, manufacturing companies, I encourage you to call my friend Laz Coolchar from Automated Systems. Automated Systems is a software and systems integration company that specializes in companies that are required to meet FDA compliance requirements. Automated Systems will create a custom solution to make your production lines, facilities, and plants run more efficiently. Imagine less downtime, more speed, and fewer projects. From Fortune 500 to startup, ASI delivers solutions for your toughest automation challenges. For information, or I encourage you to talk to Laz at Automated Systems, call 844-HIRE-ASI or visit hireasi.com. That's 844-HIRE-ASI or online at hireasi.com.
Pain drugs are addictive and have side effects. Get off the drugs. Get rid of the pain. You don't need to live with chronic pain. Let's repeat that. You do not have to live in pain. Chronic pain is the worst from an accident or pain that just develops. Dr. Ken Candido is one of the most respected and successful pain doctors in the world. Dr. Candido will work to find the source of your chronic pain and fix it. He teaches pain management around the world and has been voted one of Chicago's best pain doctors several times. Okay, you get it. He's the pain doctor you need. Dr. Candido of Chicago Anesthesia and Pain Specialists will help you get off pain medication and all of its side effects. You can get your life back. Drugs mask the pain. Find the source and fix it. Call Dr. Ken Candido and make an appointment with a cutting-edge, respected, and successful pain physician. Go to mypainchicago.com. mypainchicago.com is the website. Thousands have been helped with their chronic pain. You be the next one. Get the phone number and all the info at mypainchicago.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggie capsules contain 100% vine-ripened fruits and vegetables, tested pure with no pesticides, fillers, or additives of any kind. And it is undeniably one of the most effective whole food supplements on the market today. You might ask, how can over 10 servings of 31 fruits and vegetables fit into 6 vegetarian capsules? Fruits and vegetables are on an average 85% water, some a little higher, some a little lower. Balance of Nature uses cold vacuum technology to take out the water and air, leaving only whole food, which maintains 99.9% of its original nutritional value. Along with diet and exercise, Mother Nature provides fruits and vegetables to help us maintain good health. Make sense? To order, go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751. That's 1-800-246-8751 and use discount code Chicago.
Hi, this is Amy Jacobson, and you'll have to wait until spring to get the outside of your house painted, but winter, perfect opportunity to get your interior painted. You know, people walk into my kitchen and ask, Amy, did you get new cabinets? No, I save myself thousands of dollars by simply having them painted by the experts at CertaPro Painters. So cross the first project off your 2019 to-do list. CertaPro Painters will ensure a beautiful transformation of your home. And if you want some help with colors, they've got you covered. In-home with a color consultation or online with their color visualizer. Don't put it off. Time to hire CertaPro Painters, your residential and commercial painting experts. You can schedule a free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C, or call 1-800-GO-CERTA. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Get a free estimate at CertaPro.com or call 1-800-GO-CERTA. CertaPro Painters, we do painting, you do life.
The most popular days to get engaged are Christmas, New Year's, and Valentine's Day. And guys, finding the perfect wedding venue can be harder to figure out than the color and quality of the perfect diamond. With love in the air, Avante Banquets is here to help you plan the wedding of your dreams for the party of a lifetime at a price right for you. Avante Banquets is part of the family-owned Chicago Prime Restaurants, with a picturesque location opened just last year near Barrington, providing fine American dining and a timeless experience. Avante is an exceptional space for your wedding or corporate events and fundraisers, for an intimate gathering or parties of 500 or more. The calendar is filling up, so secure your date today at AvanteBanquets.com. That's AVANTE Banquets.com. With wedding packages starting at just $39 a person. Experience exceptional hospitality with the Calcunos family at Avante Banquets, because classic never goes out of style. AvanteBanquets.com. AvanteBanquets.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan, here's a great story of why women should get their concealed carry license. This happened at 103rd and Halsted about this time yesterday morning. A 25-year-old woman's going to work at, in the bus shell there, and this 19-year-old kid in a white jacket ran up to her, tried to rob her at gunpoint, and there's a little bit of a scuffle. She pulls out her gun, and I'm not sure if it was in her coat jacket or purse, and shoots him in the neck. He runs away, collapsed. Later, police found him, took him to the hospital, and he was pronounced dead. But she and police are questioning her, which I thought, she has concealed carry license. She has a FOID card. She did what she needed to do.
He got what he deserved. He ran up on the wrong person. So she did what she had to do.
And that's
big
one
bad
of the friends.
Mama. Good
Yeah.
gal with a gun takes out bad guy with a gun. I mean, now, if she's being held at gunpoint, it's interesting. I mean, it's a bold move on her part to get into a scuffle with him and get to her gun. But, an armed society is a polite society, and maybe we'll get a little bit more politeness with the recognition that more and more, include women, importantly, are doing the training, getting their concealed carry permits, and are able to defend themselves in an equalized manner, because that's what a gun does for a woman. It minimizes the strength differential.
And that's why, I wanted to show you this, because yesterday I went shooting because we had a little incident here while you were off of.
At a range, or?
I was at a range, yes.
Not just on the streets.
No, I would never do that. Because while you were off, we had some guy was following me in a Dodge Durango and backed up, followed me up the parking lot, through the parking lot, and it was dark.
His name is Bruce Wolf. He's your co-host.
And parked, and he was fixing. I mean, I thought he was going to kill me, so I stayed in my car, which was the best thing to do.
Yeah.
Threw it in reverse, got out. Long story short, but we couldn't find him because he had his headlights off, so that we couldn't get his plate number on the surveillance camera.
That's
Bottom line is, I'm scared, so I'm doing something about it. And
you went to where'd you go?
This is to
What
Article
range?
2 in Lombard.
Oh yeah, sure.
And all right, so just keep in mind, it was a 38 special, a hammerless one, and I've had
Hold on loosely to 38 special.
I've had a 38 special before with a hammer, so this is my first time shooting. I hit the mark. This is from 40, 50 feet away. That's not bad.
Were you shooting like execution style?
No, I wasn't
right
shooting
up?
sideways like they do in the movies. I was shooting upright, and then I tried to do rapid fire where it can say boom, 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 because it's a hard lever, and that's where
Actual audio of you shooting.
this went. That was pretty bad, but I think that I prefer the neck area.
I see
one shot to the head.
I see a grouping around the silhouette's groin. Did you have anybody in particular in mind when you were shooting?
I was thinking about him when I was shooting, thinking, I'm going to get you, sucker.
Wow,
Don't
impressive.
mess with me.
Well, good.
So now I've started the process,
I'm glad.
getting my FOID card, and then I'm going to get my concealed carry. But this woman who shot the would-be robber, who pointed a gun at her, she did do the time. I mean, she spent 15 hours.
Yeah.
She did what she needed to do to protect herself. So.
All right, Chicago, you're on notice. Don't cut Amy Jacobson off in traffic.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Manufacturing growth up 714% over Trump as compared to Obama. Will that continue if we don't get a trade deal with the Chinese? We're going to ask Steve Moore at 7:37.
And later, that all-nude restaurant in Paris is shutting down, Dan. We'll tell you why. But first, into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
19 degrees, a wind chill of 4 above. Authorities investigating suspicious packages found at several foreign consulates and embassies in Australia, including the UK, the US, Switzerland, Pakistan, Greece, New Zealand, and France. The U.S. needs a wall along its southern border.
I've held the hands of the weeping mothers and embraced the grief-stricken fathers. So sad, so terrible. I will never forget the pain in their eyes, the tremble in their voices, and the sadness gripping their souls.
President Trump, during his address to the nation, saying he still wants Congress to fund the wall and did not declare a national emergency. South Carolina Republican Lindsey Graham is now urging his fellow lawmakers to cut a deal.
This is the best chance we'll ever have to help President Trump get border wall funding, steel barrier funding, and at the same time fix the loopholes. The only way we lose is to give in.
The president expects to host another meeting with congressional leaders on the government shutdown today. Apple's scaling back first quarter production of 3 new iPhones. This morning, Apple is saying it's cutting planned production by about 10% over the first 3 months. An Indiana police officer is hospitalized, accidentally shot by another officer. Lafayette Police Lieutenant Brian Phillips says Officer Lane Butler is in serious but stable condition. She was injured yesterday when a dog attacked her and 2 others at an apartment during a search for a person. One of her fellow officers fired at the dog but hit her. Search is underway to find a 9-year-old boy who went missing on Chicago's South Side. Michael Campbell was last seen yesterday at Harvard Elementary. The boy wearing a maroon jacket, shirt, black pants, orange and blue tennis shoes. The Illinois Department of Veterans Affairs says it's taking action after a case of Legionnaire's disease was confirmed at a Manteno veterans home. Hoffman Estates-based Sears is getting another shot to avoid bankruptcy. The retailer's chairman, Edward Lampert, has his own bid to save jobs and keep that business afloat. His $121 million plan will be considered at bankruptcy auction January 14. Chicago's Shedd Aquarium will be nearly free to Illinois residents. Nearly free for several days this month and all of next month. The museum will be free from January 17th to 21st, and in February, the Shedd free Monday through Friday all month. However, it's not really free. It's a $3 transaction tax applies to Illinois resident free day tickets reserved online. Bulls in Portland tonight. White Sox bolster their pen with the addition of Kelvin Herrera. The news a service of Discover. Get your free credit scorecard today, even if you're not a Discover customer. It includes your FICO credit score, and checking your scorecard won't hurt your credit. Learn more at discover.com/credit scorecard. Limitations apply. 7:34, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager can always expect one thing from the left.
He feels that marriage equality is bad for straight couples. I've never said that in my life. You know how often things are made up about me by people on the left? Always. That's how often. That is the reason that they can be at peace with what they believe, because they make up things that they oppose.
The Dennis Prager Show, weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
I'm Dan Proft.
And I'm Amy Jacobson.
And if you're a small business owner or you make the marketing or advertising decisions for a business, then listen up.
Once again, our annual Food for the Poor campaign is underway to raise money for children suffering from poverty in Haiti. We've partnered with Food for the Poor to provide food and clean water to several thousand children this year.
And here's how your business can be a part of this. Become a Food for the Poor business benefactor. Just make a $2,500 tax-deductible donation to Food for the Poor, and AM 560 will give you 40 60-second commercials to air here on AM 560 The Answer between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. Monday through Friday at no additional cost to you.
That's the best advertising deal in all of Chicago. To take advantage of this deal, just call Anjanette Natowski at 847-472-8951. Again, that's 847-472-8951. One more time, 847-472-8951.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Chris Veldman of ServiceMaster DSI, the largest ServiceMaster franchise in the United States and a customer of Signature Bank. In our business, we respond to disaster, and we never know when disaster will strike, whether it's flooding in Louisiana or a house fire in Chicago. Not all banks understand that need for flexibility, but Signature Bank does. That's why we consider them so much more than a bank. They have been our business partner since 2006, when their three co-founders, Mick, Kevin, and Brian, started the bank. Signature Bank is a key part of our growth strategy at ServiceMaster DSI.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Check out Ground Game, the latest podcast from the Associated Press discussing the top political issues around the country. Available on Apple Podcasts.
7:36. Let's get an update on the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center with Jim Talamonte.
In Carpentersville, the intersection of 31 and Main Street remains closed with fallen power cable. Veterans Memorial Tollway traffic is now heavy around 63rd to the Reagan Tollway. Northbound tri-state delays are from 95th to 75th, from the Stevenson to the Hinsdale Oasis, and from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Eden's 19 minutes, Lake Hook to Montrose, outbound 26th. Kennedy, delays starting at Harlem. 35 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. 21 from Montrose, 20 in the Express. Mount Eisenhower, 45 minutes, 390 to downtown. 30 from Manheim. Stevenson, 52 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Ryan, 27 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 21 minutes, 90 to the merge. Bishop, 430. That's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte. From the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center. Windy, colder. Clouds and sun today, high 25. Currently 18 degrees. Your next news update is at 8. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Secure Retirement Radio with host Raj Shah. Sunday mornings at 7 on AM 560, The Answer.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Story just came over the transom that the trade talks between the Trump administration and the Chinese are encouraging. The headline, building towards a deal.
Yeah, I mean, we've had the Dow climb to 261 points. Now it's up 3 days in a row, so that's
It'll be happy news for the market today. Also, this sort of an underreported story, including by the Trump administration. There's a piece from Chuck DeVore in Forbes. Manufacturing jobs growing at 714% faster under Trump than over a similar time under President Obama, first 2 years. 7x manufacturing jobs growing under Trump. Under Obama, federal, state, and local government employment grew 6 times faster than did manufacturing jobs. Under Trump, that ratio has been reversed. Manufacturing jobs growing 5 times faster than government jobs. That's good news because manufacturing jobs and manufacturing sector is a wealth multiplier. Government is not. So these are sort of important data points. Trump talks about it generally. He should get real specific here because that's good news. The question is, if we don't get a deal with China and those Trump tariffs stay up, can we continue on that pace that was documented in Forbes? For more on this topic, we're pleased to be joined again by our friend Stephen Moore, Wall Street Journal columnist, chief economist for CNN, and Trump economic advisor. Steve, Happy New Year. Thanks for being with us.
Hi, Happy New Year, guys. Great to be with you. By the way, I'm not surprised at all by those numbers on manufacturing and construction. I mean, we've seen such a massive increase in the, I think by my numbers, since Trump was elected, we've gained just short of 1 million manufacturing and construction jobs. We were losing those jobs, under Obama. So, and by the way, I guess maybe Trump does have that magic wand because remember Obama said the only way we'd bring those jobs back is with a magic wand. My favorite story, by the way,
he's got a magic wand.
Oh,
you see what I did there?
No, my favorite story, though, this is a great one. I had this in my column this week that I was driving in the Midwest. I think it was in Ohio. It wasn't Illinois, but I was not. But I was in Ohio, and it was a big billboard, and it said, come work for it was a manufacturing company. Come work at our firm. It said, no drug test required.
It said that on the billboard?
I'm like, wow, this is a pretty darn good, economy and job market when employers say, you don't even have to pass a drug test to work here.
Oh
yeah, attention! Recently released felons looking for work.
Yeah, look, they're lining up. The employers are lining up outside the jails, waiting for the felons to get out so they can hire. I mean, we now have 7.1 million more jobs than we have people to fill them. That is a phenomenal problem for a country to have. This is the best job. I haven't talked to you guys in the last couple of weeks because of the holidays.
Yeah.
This is the best. I call 2018 the best year for the American worker in 50 years. The lowest unemployment rate, the highest wages. We've got, the blue collar jobs are coming back. The Wall Street Journal is saying, I listened to Elizabeth Warren over the weekend. She said, we have to rebuild the American economy for the middle class. I'm like, what planet is she on? I mean, That's exactly what Trump is doing. He's bringing back all these lost middle class, blue collar, high paying jobs.
Well, then why is the outlook on Wall Street so, middle of the road to dour in terms of continued corporate profits as well as GDP growth in 2019?
Yeah, well, we ended 2018 with, we don't know the official number yet, but my estimate will be right around 3.2%. That means this will be the first. Obama, by the way, in 8 years in office, never got us to 3% growth. Trump's done it in his second year in office. There were all these economists like Larry Summers, the chief economist for, president of Harvard University, chief economist for Obama, who said, it's impossible for the American economy to grow at 3%. Well, we did it. We've already achieved that. So I feel very good. But look, the main point is the one you started this segment with about the China trade war. Can Trump get this deal done? I'm somewhat optimistic. But, if he doesn't get it done, then we're going to get these 25% tariffs in a couple months.
And really, that soon?
That's not going to be good for growth.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Dow climbed again 261 points yesterday. It's up 3 days in a row now because I thought I was going to have a heart attack on Christmas Eve.
Tell me about it. So what's going on there, I think, is, the Dow is now being driven, I think, by two factors. Because the real economy, as we've just been discussing, jobs growth, manufacturing, construction, that's all really strong. But the stock market is forward-looking. It's looking at what's the economy going to look like 3, 6, 9 months from now. And there's two things that the investors are very worried about. One is the trade war, whether or not Trump can get this deal done. And if he gets it done, I think you're going to see the stock market go through the roof. If he doesn't get it done, I think it'll really hurt the stock market. So that's the reason one reason it's been so jittery. The other is, the Federal Reserve Board is out of control. They keep raising interest rates when they should be lowering them. They don't understand that when you have more economic growth, that actually, and people producing more goods and products, that lowers prices, it doesn't raise them. They have what I call growth phobia, and they have taken too much money out of the economy. I mean, look what's happened to the price of oil, look what's happened to the price of steel, look what's, you're in Illinois, it's a farm state, look at what the farmers are facing in terms of commodity prices.
Yeah, but
that is deflation. Prices are falling right now.
But don't we have, doesn't the Fed have the understandable challenge of unwinding a decade of quantitative easing?
Well, look, I don't, people say, oh, we have to have a return to normal interest rates and so on. I have no idea. And then they say, oh, we have to worry about overheating. I have no idea what any of that means. I mean, the Fed should be looking at one variable and one variable only. What is happening at prices? And prices are either stable or in some industries, they're falling. Now, tell me, Dan, why we need to be raising interest rates and pulling money out of the economy when we have high employment, low unemployment, almost no inflation, high growth. What is it about that picture, Dan, that the Fed doesn't like?
Yeah,
what are they trying to fix?
Well, I mean, you had all this free money for a long time, and that
I know,
and that creates.
But that was a sin that was committed 10 years ago, and we are paying a high price for that.
Yes.
I mean, there's no question about it that you borrow under Obama, we borrowed and printed money. But the idea is now to let the economy grow. We're in a new regime. Obama's policies, for the most part, were anti-growth, and Trump's policies are pro-growth.
All right, well,
you
look,
grow your way out of it.
Well, look, I'm sick of listening to you and Amy talk about your 8-figure trading accounts and so worried about Wall Street. I'm down with the people, and Ocasio-Cortez, me and Ocasio-Cortez this week jointly announced our 12-year plan to be a fossil fuel-free economy in this country, and Democrats in the House are moving towards a carbon tax, maybe for a vote even this session. So how about that, a carbon tax?
Yeah, that'll do wonders for the economy, won't it? For tax American energy. I mean, energy is the master resource. Everything that we have, the breakfast that you had this morning, the coffee, the computer you're tapping on, the car you're driving, everything is derivative of energy. And we have a great benefit in the United States, but because of the shale oil and gas revolution, we have the cheapest energy of any country. It's one of the reasons we're producing so many manufacturing, construction jobs and so many jobs in other areas. Why in the world would we want to spoil that by raising, raise your hand out there and beep your horn if you want to pay higher gas prices, because that's what a carbon tax would do.
Right.
It's just an energy tax.
And I have a feeling in Chicago our politicians are going to do that soon, because yesterday I gassed up, Stephen, for $1.91 a gallon. I can't remember in Chicago.
And $1.90 of that in Chicago is taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's.
Well, I did it outside of Chicago.
By the way, every time the gas price falls by a penny, nationwide, it puts $1 billion more into the American economy. So, they're talking about. By the way, people like Cortez paying attention to what's happening in Paris? I mean, they've got the carbon tax. They've got all these global warming policies, and there's rioting in the streets by the middle class because they don't want to pay these high costs for, in Paris now, you pay $4, $5, $6 a gallon for gas.
My favorite.
That's where the liberals want to have us go. They want us to be more like Europe. Anybody want to pay $5 a gallon for gasoline?
Ocasio-Cortez does, but Scott Johnson, writing it over a Powerline blog after her 60 Minutes profile on Sunday, has like the best 2 sentences I've read on her. He writes, "She is an idiot's idiot with a little girl voice that gives expressive form to her thoughts and dreams. If only she were given absolute power, she could produce the kind of rapid change that has reduced Venezuela to poverty and starvation." So there's the Ocasio-Cortez 12-year plan in a nutshell. But on the carbon tax, I don't know why we don't just people who understand it. It's just a tax on existence. Everything requires energy, so that's the last frontier for government. Tax your existence. That's what a carbon tax is.
Well, I did watch her 60 Minutes interview. I love. I mean, there's so much I like about Alexandria Cortez. I mean, I love her energy. I love her feistiness. I love her,
dancing.
I think more and more about this. I mean, how did she come up with these dingbat ideas, right? I mean, her ideas are idiotic. I mean, really, we're going to have a 70% tax rate. Did you learn nothing over the last 30 years? We're really going to have a carbon tax. We're really going to shut down American energy. I mean, she basically said she wants to shut down American oil, gas, and coal production, which would put, 15 million people out of jobs. And the point I'm making, Dan and Amy, is we're responsible for people like her. She's very intelligent. She's just regurgitating all the idiotic concepts that kids are being taught in the schools these days. I mean, we're responsible for that. She is exactly what you're going to spit out of the school systems if you have, the left teaching people these idiotic ideas. And, now we're paying a price for it.
That's a fair point. Put that Boston University off the list for Peyton and Eli, Amy. Can't go there. Steve Moore, Wall Street Journal columnist, chief economist for CNN, and Trump economic advisor. Steve, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm still in mourning, by the way, about what happened on Sunday. So, I don't know if the city's gotten over it yet, but I haven't.
We're licking our wounds. We'll be okay, though. It's the Bears.
Okay.
Those Eagles fans are
See you guys
mean.
next week. Take care.
Okay.
Thanks, Steve.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Hi, I'm attorney Stephen Leahy, and I help business owners, 1099 employees, and those with unfiled tax returns solve their IRS problems. And I'm also the host of the IRS Radio Hour.
And I'm Jim Leahy, the co-host of the IRS Radio Hour, heard right here every Sunday evening at 5 on AM 560,
The Answer. I know you want a local attorney you can look in the eye and hold accountable for solving your IRS problem, not some big box outfit without a Chicago connection. So today we have a special offer. A good night's sleep.
A good night's sleep? Are you trying to give away a pillow?
Great guess, Jim. But no, I want to help people solve the problems that are keeping them up at night. If you fear the IRS will take away your money, freeze your bank account, garnish your wages, visit your home or job, and now they can take away your passport, you need to hire me to solve your IRS problem for good.
Call attorney Stephen Leahy, your Chicago IRS answer man at 312-664-6649, 312-664-6649, and get the IRS out of your business and your life for good.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies in a capsule.
Oh, no colds, no flu, lots of energy, just overall well-being. It's just if I stop taking it, I see the difference. I would never stop with these. I would keep them on hand always.
Well, I got more energy for sure. I don't feel the same if I don't take this every day. I think it's improved my life greatly because I was feeling real sluggish before, sluggish and tired. I had like this brain fog. It's all gone now. I've been taking this stuff and I feel like I have the energy of an 18-year-old with the looks of a 30-year-old, and I'm 50. It's crazy. This stuff is crazy. I love it.
For a limited time, use discount code CHICAGO, and we'll take 35% off your first preferred set of fruits and veggies and have them shipped to you free. Call 800-246-8751 or go online to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
Wow, we've been doing a lot of roofs.
And we're ready to do yours. This is Mark Olson.
And Greg Olson from Crumweedy. Okay, say it. If your roof is needy,
call Crumweedy. Remember that when you need repair or when you need a new roof.
It's so important to choose your roofing company wisely.
Here's our pitch.
Installation. It's the ball game.
We follow the manufacturer's specifications, so your warranty is totally intact. Most roofing companies don't do that.
When we give you a quote, we give you good, better, and best options. You decide.
And we're not going anywhere.
We're a third-generation family business. 65 years of doing great roofs.
We run the company on good, conservative values.
For any roofing problem or need, call your roofing guys, Crumweedy.
Do we have any special offers? Sure. Just ask. We'll take care of you.
Get all the info at myroofisneedy.com.
When your roof is needy,
call Crumweedy.
630-595-8020. 630-595-8020.
If you're not pleased with your child's progress this school year, now's the time to consider enrolling your son or daughter in St. John's Northwestern Military Academy. With an ongoing enrollment program, it's never too late. For years, St. John's Northwestern Military Academy has served young men and is now an excellent co-ed environment. Not a school for troubled kids, but one that will prepare young men and women for college by focusing on rigorous academics and leadership with a safe, secure, and structured environment free from distractions that's conducive to successful learning. St. John's Northwestern Military Academy in the beautiful Lake Country region of southeast Wisconsin inspires personal growth through a commitment to excellence in academics, spiritual, and character development, athletics, and their military traditions. Find out more about St. John's Northwestern Military Academy ongoing enrollment. Call 1-800-SJ-CADET. That's 1-800-SJ-CADET. Or visit their website, sjnma.org. That's sjnma.org.
Hey everyone, Carrie here. For years, you've heard my husband, Ken,
hello, Radioland,
explain how Income Store is the place for your next revenue stream. Not to date ourselves, but Ken and I have been helping individuals and businesses grow their revenue since before the internet was even a thing. We've heard countless stories as to why people look to increase their revenue.
Some stories make us laugh, some make us cry.
These stories, combined with our own, have motivated Ken and I to dedicate our lives to help people, as Ken says, who need a revenue shot in the backside.
Whether you want to just learn how or simply put, you need to generate revenue today. Our mission is to serve both.
Our worldwide staff of over 150 help to create amazing resources, our most famous being the iTunes podcast.
Today's growth. You got to check out episode 383. It's truly amazing.
And both Inc. and Forbes have shared that when it comes to generating revenue, Income Store is a can't miss. To grow your revenue today, check out IncomeStore.com.
That's IncomeStore.com.
The most popular days to get engaged are Christmas, New Year's, and Valentine's Day. And guys, finding the perfect wedding venue can be harder to figure out than the color and quality of the perfect diamond. With love in the air, Avante Banquets is here to help you plan the wedding of your dreams for the party of a lifetime at a price right for you. Avante Banquets is part of the family-owned Chicago Prime Restaurants with a picturesque location opened just last year near Barrington, providing fine American dining and a timeless experience. Avante is an exceptional space for your wedding or corporate events and fundraisers for an intimate gathering or parties of 500 or more. The calendar is filling up, so secure your date today at AvanteBanquets.com. That's AVANTE Banquets.com. With wedding packages starting at just $39 a person. Experience exceptional hospitality with the Calcunos family at Avante Banquets. Because classic never goes out of style. AvanteBanquets.com. AvanteBanquets.com.
AM 560. The Answer.
This has been a great week for memes, if not for Bears football. Since Steve Moore mentioned it, I don't know if you saw the Cody Parkey memes. Like, there's one of him, Cody Parkey, leaving the Bears parking lot, and it's him crashing into a yellow post.
Yeah, because he's a magnetic to the post. We get it.
And
that's a good one, though.
And Philadelphia is being incredibly mean to him. I mean, I hope the guy, gets over it. You know you're going to take the heat.
Well, I'm sure he's going to a counselor.
Scott Norwood came back after missing the game winner in the Super Bowl. Now, Lynn Elliott and the Chiefs didn't. So, I don't know. Here's the thing. Philadelphia's Pico building flashing a sign recreating the missed field goal, complete with digital football clanking off an upright, followed by an exploding doink. The electric company, through its 2 million LED crown lights, added at Pico, reliability matters. Power company in Philly. Double doink, fly eagles, fly billboards popping up along the New Jersey highways. Philadelphia Shake Shacks offering $3 doink doink discounts this week.
Oh my gosh!
Even the Philadelphia Flyers mascot Gritty.
Oh yeah, I saw he did something.
He did like the Bird Box blindfold challenge, kicking a foam football to a fan at the Wells Fargo.
Well, real quick though, you just showed me something very cool of Robbie Gold at a golf tournament.
Well, so he was at the game. So it must have been like the day after he flew somewhere warm.
Oh yeah, they do that because they're a big commodity at those golf outings.
Yeah, right. So Robbie Gold, so he's on the tee. A guy goes 43 yards out into the fairway, raises his hand like goalposts, and Robbie Gold makes the kick from the tee, 43 yards, just as
wearing
wide
golf
as you.
Shoes, by the way, too. Yeah.
Well, it really rubs it in. Robbie Gold's mean too.
Well, I wish Robbie Gold was still here.
Yeah.
Well. We wish for things you don't have.
By the way, still taking your favorite. You can tweet it at us at Morning Answer. Still taking your favorite Pelosi and Pagliacci memes. There's some really good ones.
My favorite, stay together for the kids.
That's pretty good.
And Jeff Greenfield had one that said they both look like they're embalmed.
I think Matt Sturba was it on Facebook. Just posted on mine. It's their two heads on the two little girls' bodies from The Shining.
Oh.
Red Rub. It's pretty good. That's
good.
pretty good. So continue sending those our way, and we'll continue ridiculing Pelosi and Pagliacci as they so richly deserve.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We're going to talk to David and Sarah. He's a policy analyst in Homeland Security and Cyber Policy for the Heritage Foundation. He was embedded with the caravan for a time at the border, so he's got some firsthand accounts of just what is or is not the humanitarian and, frankly, law enforcement crisis at the border. So we'll get his perspectives at 8:08.
And what did you think of President Trump's first primetime Oval Office address? Were you moved. We'll take your phone calls, 312-642-5600. But first, let's get into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, Kim Foxx is calling for possible R. Kelly victims to come forward to her office. New Illinois General Assembly sworn in today. Concealed carry card holder shoots and kills a robber on the south side. Chicago aldermen reject a proposed soccer stadium. Blackhawks host the Predators tonight. White Sox add reliever Kelvin Herrera to the pen. Windy and much colder day ahead in your forecast. A high near 25. WIND Chicago News Time is 8 o'clock.
Is there a crisis at the border? Or is President Trump just stoking fear? I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. It depends who you believe.
Thousands of Americans have been brutally killed by those who illegally entered our country, and thousands more lives will be lost if we don't act right now.
But House Speaker Nancy Pelosi responded last night.
The fact is, the women and children at the border are not a security threat. They are a humanitarian challenge.
There will be more talks today. Fox's John Decker live at the White House.
Following his primetime address last night, the president will travel to Capitol Hill this afternoon to meet with Senate Republicans to lay out his strategy for trying to get Congress to provide funding for a border wall with Mexico. The president later today will then meet with congressional leaders from both parties in the Situation Room in an effort to end the impasse that has kept the government partially closed for 19 days. Dave?
John, on this government shutdown, the Senate Minority Leader, Democrat Chuck Schumer, says
federal workers are about to miss a paycheck. Some families can't get a mortgage to buy a new home. Farmers and small businesses won't get loans they desperately need.
He wants Republicans to restore funding while they keep negotiating. Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein's planning to depart in a few weeks, but White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders says he's not being forced out.
My guess is that he is making room for the new Attorney General to build a team that he wants around him.
Rosenstein oversaw the special counsel's Russia probe for a year and a half. Republicans in Congress had threatened to impeach him, accusing Rosenstein of not cooperating with their Trump and Clinton investigations. There's a new court filing in the case against former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort, alleging that he shared 2016 polling data with someone accused of having ties to Russian intelligence, then lied to investigators about it. This is Fox News.
Gray skies, 18 degrees in Chicago with a wind chill of 6 above, 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning, I'm Mike Scott. Authorities say a suspect in the New Year's Eve 2017 shooting death of a woman in Texas has been captured in northwest Indiana. U.S. Marshals Great Lakes Regional Fugitive Task Force says it took 52-year-old Dwight Patrick Scott into custody in Gary following a tip he was at a home there. Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx calling for any possible victims of R. Kelly to come forward. Foxx made the request yesterday.
I'm here today to encourage victims of sexual assault or domestic violence related to these allegations to please get in touch with our office.
She says her office cannot launch an effective prosecution without cooperation of victims and witnesses. 7 people remain hospitalized, including 2 children, after a 2-vehicle crash on Chicago's southwest side near 79th and Pulaski. The Illinois State Capitol will be awash today, and with flowers, family members, well-wishers, and lobbyists. As the legislature begins a new session, members of the House and Senate will be inaugurated as part of the 101st General Assembly. Bulls set to begin a 5-game road trip in Portland tonight. White Sox bolstering their pen with the addition of Kelvin Herrera, 2 years, $18 million. Last night in the Valley, college hoops, Loyola lost to Evansville. In the MAC, Northern Illinois, here on AM 560, earning a road win over Miami. 8:03 time for the AM 560 Business Beat. And from the Fox Business Network, here's Ginny Casola.
From the Fox Business Network, Sears Holdings CEO Eddie Lampert has been given another chance to try to save the company. Bankruptcy judge Robert Drain says Lampert must make a $120 million deposit and revise his bid for the chain to participate in an auction for Sears on Monday. ESL says its proposal to keep some stores open is better than liquidation and is the only option to save up to 50,000 jobs. Home builder Lennar is reporting a mixed quarter. Though Lennar delivered more homes and made more money than expected, Wall Street was expecting even better overall numbers. Apple's CEO Tim Cook received a 22% pay raise last year. A security filing says he was paid $15.7 million. The company's year ended in September, months before the company confirmed slower than expected iPhone sales. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Ginny Cosola.
8:04, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
It's a new year, and with it comes the feeling of a fresh start. So this year, what will you do with your fresh start? Will you start working out, learn a new skill, or even resolve to travel more? Yeah, well, whatever your new venture is, you can be sure that in 2019 you'll get the same great level of breaking news and intelligent opinion you've always gotten right here. It's our resolution. Here's to a prosperous new year. AM 560, The Answer.
As a business owner, are you tired of hearing constant buzzwords like cloud solutions and cybersecurity, but never getting an explanation for what it means to your business? Your success is built on your foresight. You know you need technology to run your business efficiently and grow, but who can you trust? How about turning to Mother G? They're a different kind of technology company. As a managed services provider, their focus is developing a tailored strategy based on your business model, your industry, and your growth plans. Mother G understands that dealing with IT issues today stunts your business's development well beyond tomorrow. They believe in on-site free consultations. That's the only way to learn about your needs as a live, interactive partner, not just a guy behind a computer screen. If you want to hear more from Mother G, tune into their show Saturday nights at 11 p.m. here on AM 560. Or visit lightswitchit.com for a free assessment of your current systems and strategy. That's lightswitchit.com.
All money managers might seem the same, but while some give their clients cookie-cutter portfolios, Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to your goals and needs. Some only call when they have something to sell. Fisher calls regularly, so you stay informed. And while some advisors are happy to earn commissions whether you do well or not, Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when you do better. In other words, we're on your side. Maybe that's why most of our clients come from other money managers. So if you're in or nearing retirement, talk with us and find out why investors are switching to and staying with Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments, clearly better money management. Investments in securities involve the risk of loss. Visit us at FisherInvestments.com to find out what we can do for you.
It's 8:07. Let's check the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center with Jim Talamonte.
Veterans Memorial Tollway southbound 355. Traffic is jammed. St. Charles to 22nd. Crash to the right lane. Northbound delays from 75th to the Reagan Tollway and Army Trail to 290. Northbound Tri-State is heavy. 95th to 75th. From the Stevenson to 31st. The Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Edens 20 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose outbound 30. Kennedy 36 minutes. O'Hare to downtown. A little quicker in the Express. Outbound 35 minutes. Eisenhower 50 minutes. 390 to downtown. 35 from Manheim. Outbound 39 to 390. Stevenson 54 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound 38. Ryan is 28 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 22 minutes, I-80 to the merge. Issue 430. That's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte from the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center and our meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Times of clouds and sun, windy and cold today, high 25. Mainly clear, seasonably cold tonight, low 15. Tomorrow, partly sunny with a high 28. And then cloudy on Friday with a high 35. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
19 degrees at O'Hare, wind chill of 4 above. Your next news update, 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Make sure to check out the Income Store live video stream of today's show right now at 560theanswer.com.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Yesterday, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, in responding to the president's address and a renewed call for border security funding, had this to say about the crisis the president alleges at the border.
But the president is rejecting these bipartisan bills, which would reopen government, over his obsession with forcing American taxpayers to waste billions of dollars on an expensive and ineffective wall, a wall he always promised Mexico would pay for. The fact is, President Trump has chosen to hold hostage critical services for the health, safety, and well-being of the American people and withhold the paychecks of 800,000 innocent workers across the nation, many of them veterans. He promised to keep government shut down for months or years, no matter whom it hurts. That's just plain wrong. The fact is, we all agree we need to secure our borders while honoring our values. We can build the infrastructure and roads at our ports of entry. We can install new technology to scan cars and trucks for drugs coming into our nation. We can hire the personnel we need to facilitate trade and immigration at the border. We can fund more innovation to detect unauthorized crossings. The fact is, the women and children at the border are not a security threat. They are a humanitarian challenge, a challenge that President Trump's own cruel and counterproductive policies have only deepened. And the fact is, President Trump must stop holding the American people hostage, must stop manufacturing a crisis, and must reopen the government.
Has she ever been through a border crossing? You're going to scan a car to see if there's drugs? What is she, nuts?
Well, the thing that's curious to me about, there's a lot curious to me about that statement. Should we rip down the barriers? Like
the 350 miles that we already have in place?
Yeah, places like Yuma, are they working
Or you
there?
see your dead waters, just take it down. You'll see what happens.
Also, the president says there's a humanitarian crisis. She calls it a humanitarian challenge. She says he's manufacturing crisis. Speaker Pelosi, could you compare and contrast, distinguish for us what the difference is between a humanitarian challenge and a crisis? She seems to be conceding the president's point that there is indeed a humanitarian crisis, that CBP is indeed overwhelmed at the border, that they do need more resources to properly care for people, and that it would help to close the loophole that prevents border security from returning people to their country of origin, as opposed to sort of housing them at Lindsey Graham put it, $750 a day on the taxpayer's dime. So again, who's holding the American taxpayer hostage? For more on this topic, in a first-person perspective, we're pleased to be joined by David Inserra. He is a policy analyst on the topics of homeland security and cyber policy with the Heritage Foundation, and he also spent some time at the border. David, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
So, just give us your first-person perspective on this debate, I guess, the posturing, at least, that's going on, as to whether or not we have a real crisis that extends beyond the caravan, just in terms of the day-to-day operation of border security on our southern border.
Yeah, what we're seeing right now is, I think a uniquely new sort of phenomena of what's going on at the border. Not the caravans is certainly part of it, but it's also the dramatic increase in women and children at the border. So overall numbers are down, certainly, but we have these unique challenges of these caravans and women and children coming across the border, which, as you mentioned, the loopholes that we have in our laws means that it's really hard for us to remove these people back to their countries in a quick and orderly way, which means we either have to detain them, which is costly, and it leads to all sorts of other questions about, can you detain children and all those sorts of questions. But then it also means that sometimes we have to release them. And catch and release just means that we probably never see these people again. What's going on at the border is, clearly, our resources are clearly overburdened and stretched too thin to be able to handle what's going on right now, and that's why immigration court cases, the immigration courts are so backed up, and it takes like 2 years to have your immigration court case heard. Something needs to change.
And President Trump said that women and children are the biggest victims, and that 1 in 3 women are sexually assaulted along the way while trying to get into this country. From your firsthand, from being down there, did you speak to any of these women and ask them, why they're risking their lives and their children's lives to get to America?
Yeah, we a colleague and I went. We actually also went to Mexico City, and we talked to the caravan sort of en route. And the reality is most of them are talking about jobs. Most of them are talking about they want a better life, which no one can blame them for wanting that.
Right.
But the problem is that that doesn't mean that you have an asylum claim, for example. Asylum is for people who have been persecuted because of their race, their religion, their nationality, their political beliefs. And so, I mean, most of these folks want, a better life. And I think, part of the solution then has to be what are we doing to work with countries in Central America so that those places are livable, so there isn't rampant crime and corruption and there is opportunity, because ultimately that's the only viable solution in the long run. We need to do a lot on our side of the border security, enforcing our laws, but there's an important part of what can we do to make it so that these people aren't fleeing their countries and just always coming to the United States. That's another critical piece of the puzzle.
What about sort of the organization that is pushing individuals to the border, that's helping to sort of squire the caravan, for example? We saw some documentary footage by other people embedded with the caravan over the last couple of months. With Sin Fronteras as one of the groups, these sort of advocacy groups that are organizing and pushing this confrontation, and how influential are they? How much of a part of the problem are they?
Yeah, we saw that while we were down there. We attended one of the assemblies they were having, and when we went there during the day, just to the camps, we saw the people who have these sad stories, and you felt for these people, but then you went back at night, and all of a sudden you saw these activists come out, people saying people who are actively there basically to tell people how to get asylum in the United States, even if they really didn't have a claim. But what's the right thing to say? People speaking to the whole assembly about how they shouldn't trust the Mexican government. They shouldn't take the Mexican government's offer of asylum. You should go to America and demand your rights. It's these types of people who they don't really actually care about the migrants. They're using them as political weapons to just throw them at the border to try to accomplish some sort of leftist agenda, either regarding immigration in the United States, or sometimes these are agendas that actually are more about domestic politics in Mexico or Honduras or El Salvador than anything to do with the U.S. But this is what we saw, and it was very disheartening to see.
Yeah, how were the locals in response to the caravan? Were they supportive of them? Were they, what was their reaction?
Yeah, so I mean, when we were in Mexico City, it was largely sort of somewhat separated from the locals. They were actually all housed at I think it was the Olympic facility there. But generally speaking, I think with the first caravan, there was a decent amount of support from the average Mexican person. But from what I've seen over time, that has decreased. Obviously, we've seen the videos in Tijuana of people being frustrated with them there. I think it's just sort of like you might initially say, I support these people going looking for a better life, but then over time, when this becomes sort of a regular thing, and they overstay their welcome, and they start to impact the way you go about your daily life, well, yeah, people's opinions start to change, and I think that's probably what's going on right now in Mexico.
What was your interaction at all with Border Patrol and what they had to say from their first person daily account of what's happening and what would make their jobs easier, and frankly whether or not what the president is proposing is aligned with what they need?
Yeah, I remember also visiting the border several years ago, and even back then it was clear that we have these problems, where they were talking to us about how these are the people who are, it was right at the beginning when the asylum claims were starting to pick up, where they were sort of in the middle of the massive increase, and so they knew this was becoming a problem, they knew there were these loopholes, and so I've been writing about it for that long, basically saying, look, so these loopholes, these enforcement issues are really undermining the border security because, and that's why, the president clearly talked about, barriers and whatnot last night, but he also talked about a lot about all these other pieces.
Right.
Because the reality is that right now, if you don't have good enforcement, you can have the best border security in the world, but if someone gets across the border and they claim asylum and you can't remove them, if you have to do catch and release on people who you're catching, then the border security isn't doing you a lot of good. And so I definitely think we need this broad approach to immigration enforcement and border security. And it's something which we've known about for a long time, but policymakers still haven't really addressed these core concerns.
Since you were there with the caravan near the border, do you think it is a national emergency?
I don't think it necessarily rises to the president declaring and using some sort of executive national emergency authority. I do think that this is a sort of a dire situation from a policy perspective. Things are only going to get worse. But the reality is that in the past we've had millions of people coming across the border in the 90s, early 2000s. So I can't say it reaching that level of severity. But nonetheless, the reality is right now we're catching a lot more people than we did back then. But we just can't remove them. And so from a policy perspective, there are really stark challenges that we do face and that we need Congress to address because as a conservative, I'm someone who says, look, I don't want to necessarily just expand presidential authority. I want to look for ways in which the president can not necessarily challenge the law. I want everyone to stay within the law, and I want the president not to be going, to extreme measures to do some of these things. The best solution really is for Congress to act. I know that's seemingly unlikely right now, but that's the only durable solution to these problems. Congress needs to fix the laws and make sure that we have the right resources and tools to enforce our laws.
He is David Inserra, policy analyst on the topics of Homeland Security and cyber policy with the Heritage Foundation. David, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
I'm Dan Proft.
And I'm Amy Jacobson.
And if you're a small business owner or you make the marketing or advertising decisions for a business, then listen up.
Once again, our annual Food for the Poor campaign is underway to raise money for children suffering from poverty in Haiti. We've partnered with Food for the Poor to provide food and clean water to several thousand children this year.
And here's how your business can be a part of this. Become a Food for the Poor business benefactor. Just make a $2,500 tax-deductible donation to Food for the Poor. And AM 560 will give you 40 60-second commercials to air here on AM 560 The Answer between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. Monday through Friday at no additional cost to you.
That's the best advertising deal in all of Chicago. To take advantage of this deal, just call Anjanette Natowski at 847-472-8951. Again, that's 847-472-8951. One more time. 847-472-8951.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies in a capsule.
It's actually really been helping my system and my lupus and my gastro problems. So I'm actually very happy with the product.
Acid reflux is pretty much under control. That's why I keep taking it.
I have noticed, I'm sleeping better since I started taking the Balance of Nature and all the other things I'm doing.
I can't believe how wonderful your product is. I listened to you guys on the radio for years and years and years, and I listened to all the testimonials. I go, well, it's probably time to give it a try, and I've been just happy as could be ever since.
For a limited time, use discount code CHICAGO, and we'll take 35% off your first preferred set of fruits and veggies and have them shipped to you free. Call 800-246-8751 or go online to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
When it's cold outside, you can dress for it. But when your furnace gives out, hey, a blanket fort can only do so much. So call your local 1-Hour Heating and Air Conditioning. We'll replace your old furnace with a new high-efficiency one. And that beats a bunch of blankets any day. Right now, cozy up to big savings on a complete heating system. Call 855-1-HOUR.
Your comfort is just a call away. Call 1-HOUR.
Terms and conditions may apply. Call for details. Independently owned and operated. Licensed in the respective state or county.
Winners don't wait for chances. They take them, seizing opportunities that come their way, having the courage necessary to make the game-winning play when it's all on the line. It's what sets us apart from the rest. Your home for Husky basketball is right here on the Northern Illinois Husky Sports Network.
The Huskies take on the Central Michigan Chippewas this Tuesday night at 7. Don't miss a minute of NIU basketball on AM 560, The Answer.
Hi, this is Amy Jacobson, and you'll have to wait until spring to get the outside of your house painted, but winter, perfect opportunity to get your interior painted. People walk into my kitchen and ask, Amy, did you get new cabinets? No, I save myself thousands of dollars by simply having them painted by the experts at CertaPro Painters.
So cross the first project off your 2019 to-do list. CertaPro Painters will ensure a beautiful transformation of your home. And if you want some help with colors, they've got you covered. In-home with a color consultation or online with their color visualizer. Don't put it off. Time to hire CertaPro Painters, your residential and commercial painting experts. You can schedule a free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C, or call 1-800-GO-CERTA. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Get a free estimate at CertaPro.com or call 1-800-GO-CERTA. CertaPro Painters, we do painting, you do life.
AM 560, The Answer.
This is an important story. Listen up. Let me know if this is true. I'm just asking the question. I'm not taking a position. Amy, I need your expert opinion on this. Award-winning French author and television presenter.
What's his name?
Yann Moix.
How do you spell that?
M-O-I-X. Yann. Y-A-N-N. Like Yanni without the I. Yann Moix.
Yeah, I'm taking a look at him right now.
He told Marie Claire magazine's French edition that women in their 50s were invisible to him. He's 50, by the way.
Yeah, I'm looking at him. Right
Women
now.
in their 50s are invisible to him. I'm quoting him now, not taking a position. I prefer younger women's bodies. That's all. End of story. The body.
What?
The body of a 25-year-old woman is extraordinary. The body of a 50-year-old is not extraordinary at all. He also said that he prefers to date Asian women, particularly Koreans, Chinese, and Japanese. It's perhaps sad and reductive for the women I go out with, but the Asian type is sufficiently rich, large, and infinite for me not to be ashamed.
Excuse me.
Is that?
Did you even ask if we should be doing this story before you started reading about this story?
I'm intellectually curious. I wanted to know if you agree with Yann.
What
Moix.
in the world?
312-642-5600 turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA turnkey.pro text line. Do you find 50-year-old women invisible?
Oh, yeah. First of all, I'm not there yet, but I'm knocking on this. I'm 40. But 40-something.
Mm-hmm. No.
Do you ever try having a conversation with a 25-year-old woman?
25-year-old period.
I mean, it's very difficult. Okay, so yeah, you go enjoy yourself with your little things, your little chew.
I know.
No, they're little chew toys for him. And he likes the Asian chew toys.
Oh boy.
No, I mean
Oh
this.
boy. Now I've opened up the camera. I tried to have a conversation with Justin. I tried to bond with Justin. All he wants to talk about is skateboarding.
I know.
mean, we have nothing in common.
And it's very difficult. Well, Justin, he's getting there, but other ones, they're so self-absorbed. They can't be alone. They have to be with their phone all the time. They don't. 25-year-old women, please. Walk away. You know what? They deserve him. Fine. And I'm looking at his body. You know what? He's no looker. I see a little fat tire around his waist.
Well, I mean,
talk about body types. And look at your face, buddy. Not good.
All right, you're upset.
And then he's got summer teeth. Some are here, some are there.
Not surprisingly, he has drawn some ire from the fairer sex.
You think?
Yeah. What an imbecile you are. You don't know what you're missing. You and your tiny, paunchy brain, said one French journalist.
I have a 50-year-old friend who has a better body than most 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, and 40-year-olds.
Not that any of that's important. It's what's on the inside.
It's really that's not important.
Right?
Exactly.
Related story is the midlife crisis a real thing? Good evidence that a midlife decline in life satisfaction is real because our attention shifts from time past to time left. This is from realclearscience.com, by the way. And that requires a bit of a process of adjustment. I'll tell you it's real, and I've got the Corvette to prove it. But here's the thing. Yeah. What the studies generally find, there's no distinct midlife crisis, just crises that occur during the middle of your life, but might have equally have occurred before or after. So the midlife crisis is a bit of a fiction we create in our mind. So you don't need to go get the convertible. You don't need to wear the tight pants. The capri pants.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
sorry, I'm getting.
You don't need a 50-year-old
girls.
doesn't need to get a 25-year-old to feel, youthful and relevant and desirable.
That's why we have our time. Let me tell you.
Yeah. 50 plus.
Our time is for 50 plus people, men and women.
Of course, and the senior community, the Del Webb community that you live in.
Stop it. Huntley rocks. It's great.
Bill on the South Side, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, I was just wondering if 50-year-old women are invisible.
Mm-hmm.
Is Amy, who's in her 40s, is she kind of slowly disappearing like Michael J. Fox in Back to the Future? Or you're going to have to answer that, Dan, because I think Amy would whack me in the head if I was sitting next to her.
Thanks for the call, Bill. It's a good question. Look at the live stream. It does seem, your visage does seem a bit fainter. I don't know. All right. Well, apparently Bill's the only brave soul who wanted to tackle this topic along with me just because I'm curious.
Oh, okay.
Wasn't taking a position, was asking a question. I'm obviously outraged by what Jan Moix
Your
had to
hair is
say.
on fire. Woo!
Noted feminist Dan Proft.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We return to our conversations with Chicago mayoral hopefuls. The Chance the Rapper backed Amara Enya, candidate for Chicago mayor, joins us at 8:38.
But first, let's get into that newsroom. To a 50-plus guy.
55.
Feeling
And
alive.
very happy.
Very handsome. Here's Mike Scott.
Thank you. 19 degrees. We have flurries out there this morning, and President Trump holding steady on his call for a wall along the U.S. southern border.
Law enforcement professionals have requested $5.7 billion for a physical barrier. At the request of Democrats, it will be a steel barrier rather than a concrete wall.
The president making his argument in a speech heard right here on AM 560 last night from the Oval Office. But Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer explains why he thinks the president will allow the government shutdown to continue. He relates it to the wall.
The President of the United States, having failed to get Mexico to pay for his ineffective, unnecessary border wall, and unable to convince the Congress or the American people to foot the bill, has shut down the government.
The president did not declare a national emergency in an effort to try and circumvent Congress. Reports state Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein is ready to step down when a new Attorney General takes over the Justice Department. Former Bush 41 Attorney General Bill Barr has been tapped to lead the department by the president. He'll make courtesy calls on Capitol Hill today. Authorities are investigating suspicious packages found at foreign consulates and embassies in Australia, including consulates of the UK, US, India, South Korea, Spain, France, and Italy. Authorities say a suspect in the New Year's Eve 2017 shooting death of a woman in Texas has been nabbed in northwest Indiana. The Great Lakes Regional Fugitive Task Force says it took down 52-year-old Dwight Patrick Scott this week in Gary. Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx calling for possible victims of R. Kelly to come forward, saying she cannot launch an effective prosecution without cooperation of victims and witnesses. An Aldermanic Power Play scraps a proposed 20,000-seat soccer stadium, keeping it from being built and developed on Chicago's north side. Alderman Brian Hopkins announcing yesterday he's rejecting two huge parts of the developer Sterling Bay's massive Lincoln Yards development. Bulls in Portland tonight. White Sox bolstering the bullpen, signing Kelvin Herrera last night in college hoops. In the Valley, Loyola lost to Evansville. And in the MAC, Northern Illinois, right here on AM 560, earned a road win over Miami. The news, a service of Discover. Get your free credit scorecard today. Even if you're not a Discover customer, it includes your FICO's credit score, and checking your scorecard will not hurt your credit. Learn more at discover.com/credit scorecard. Limitations apply. 8:33 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager can always expect one thing from the left.
He feels that marriage equality is bad for straight couples. I've never said that in my life. You know how often things are made up about me by people on the left? Always. That's how often. That is the reason that they can be at peace with what they believe because they make up things that they oppose.
The Dennis Prager Show, weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
If you maintain an industrial plant, you know your dust collection systems are a vital part of the operation of your plant. Without them, things can get dusty quick. And when your dust collection system malfunctions, the downtime can cost your plant money. Time to call the professionals at Vans Industrial for help.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, owner of Vans Industrial. At Vans, we work with many different types and sizes of dust collectors, from 1,000 CFM to 100,000 CFM. If your system needs housing repair, tube sheet, pulse valves, ductwork, or collection hoods, give us a call. Schedule an inspection today to keep things running smoothly and avoid costly downtime. And when you're ready for a new dust collector, we can design your system from the collection hoods to the stack for plants of all size applications.
Vans uses only the best and safest union-trained mechanics, insured at the highest level, to perform the job right. Call 833-VANS-IND. That's 833-VANS-IND. Or on the web at vansindustrial.com. Food for the Poor is supported by Northwestern University's Master of Product Design and Development Management program. If you're thinking about an MBA, but your passion is in product design and development, Northwestern University's Master of Product Design and Development Management program is for you. It's a 2-year part-time management program for working professionals who aspire for leadership roles in product design and development. Register now for the info session in downtown Chicago, January 16th, or the open house in Evanston on January 19th. Northwestern's MPD is acclaimed by Businessweek as one of the top design thinking programs in the world. MPD prepares you for leadership in the product design and development world better than any other business management program, balancing management teachings with advanced design and development. Visit mpd.northwestern.edu. That's mpd.northwestern.edu.
It is 8:36. Let's get an update on the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. And here is Jim Talamonte.
Edens Expressway outbound traffic is slow from Montrose to Lake Avenue. It's 30 minutes, Montrose to Lake Cook. Inbound fine at 19. On Kennedy at 45 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. 10 quicker in the Express. Outbound 33 minutes to the airport. On Eisenhower, 52 minutes, 390 to downtown. 35 from Mannheim. Outbound 40 minutes to 390. Stevenson, 55 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound 36. The Ryan, 30 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 24 minutes, I-80 to the Merge, 428. Westbound Tri-State delays are 95th to 75th, from the Stevenson to 31st, and from the Reagan Solar to North Avenue. Southbound Veterans Memorial, clogged up North Avenue, 22nd after a crash. That's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte from the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center. Windy, colder, times of clouds and sun, high 25. Reports of flurries at O'Hare right now and 19 degrees. Next news coming up at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Money Hour Radio Show, Saturday afternoons at 3 on AM 560, The Answer. Brought to you by Pearshell Financial Group.
Listen to podcasts of Joe Walsh and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So you're hearing from some of your 50-year-old girlfriends, huh?
Yeah, I haven't, we're keeping it tight. We're keeping it real.
Right.
That came out wrong. But, I mean, we're still working out in our bodies. Some things shift when you get older, but, we're working on it.
All right.
Okay?
All right. Hey, look, hey, don't...
Shout out to the hotties.
Just
my 49-year-old friends who...
Take it up with Jan.
It's a big year for everybody.
Not me. All right. Yesterday, President Trump addressing the nation, he laid out the case for his proposal. Fundamentally, first principles, a crisis in the nation's heart and soul.
This is a humanitarian crisis, a crisis of the heart and a crisis of the soul.
And to address the crisis, the president proposed the following.
The proposal from Homeland Security includes cutting-edge technology for detecting drugs, weapons, illegal contraband, and many other things. We have requested more agents, immigration judges, and bed space to process the sharp rise in unlawful migration fueled by our very strong economy. Our plan also contains an urgent request for humanitarian assistance and medical support. Furthermore, we have asked Congress to close border security loopholes so that illegal immigrant children can be safely and humanely returned back home. Finally, as part of an overall approach to border security, law enforcement professionals have requested $5.7 billion for a physical barrier. At the request of Democrats, it will be a steel barrier rather than a concrete wall. This barrier is absolutely critical to border security. It's also what our professionals at the border want and need. This is just common sense.
And also, and it was important the president outlined those specifics because this is about more than just the physical structure, but it necessarily includes the physical barrier. He said something else at the outset of his speech that I thought was worth mentioning, although he didn't delve deeply into it. Americans are hurt, all Americans, hurt by uncontrolled illegal migration. It strains public resources, drives down jobs and wages. Among those hardest hit, African Americans and Hispanic Americans. Our southern border is a pipeline for vast quantities of illegal drugs, including meth, heroin, cocaine, fentanyl, and he went on from there. That is an important point, and it redounds to the local level. And you also have individuals like this gentleman, Hilario Yanez, writing in Fox News, who's a dreamer, and supports the deal that's been on the table for 18 months. Border security funding along the lines of what the president proposed.
Right, in exchange for pathway to citizenship for dreamers.
Right.
It seems like a no-brainer, but the Dems didn't move on it.
And that's the same direction the Wall Street Journal opined, being, sort of critical of both sides, suggesting we didn't really plow much new ground last night with the competing remarks. But there is this deal to be made that's been available for the better part of a year and a half. Switching gears and bringing it local, we're happy to be joined again by Chicago mayoral candidate Amara Enya. You may know her from being Chance the Rapper's choice for mayor.
Yes, and he's donated to her campaign. And Chance the Rapper retweeted you. And
Oh,
all
yeah,
my
I
kids
know.
think you're cool.
Yeah, well,
Mom, you can't have that, but Dan can.
the retweeting did happen. The I'm cool did not happen. But here's the thing. Chance the Rapper, actually, I'm going to try and catch this. Saturday night, Chance the Rapper is going to be with Renee Fleming at the Lyric Opera.
That's right.
Doing a discussion on art. I think that's actually kind of interesting, bring those two artists
You
together.
should go.
I wonder if Amara Enya is getting a piece of the gate at the Lyric Opera for the Chance the Rapper,
can
Renee
ask her.
Fleming thing. We'll ask her. Amara Enya, candidate for Chicago mayor, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
So you going to be like a surprise guest on Saturday night at the Lyric? Or?
Well, actually, we are doing a fundraiser together on Saturday night after that event.
Oh.
So I might pop in, and then we'll head over to our fundraiser taking place later that night.
Well, before we get to some of the issues, I mean, give us a sense of where your campaign's at, because it generated a lot of attention because of the involvement and support you received from both Chance and Kanye West. How have you been able to translate that into, the resources and the organizational prowess you need to make a go of it in the last 6 weeks here?
Well, it's been absolutely amazing. We've been able to do what no other campaign has been able to do, in part because of the visibility from their support and their endorsement, but also because we just have a message that's resonating with people. We have a campaign that people are actually excited about and that they're eager to get involved. And so one of the biggest benchmarks for us is our campaign submitted the most number of signatures to get on the ballot over and above every other campaign. And that was back in November. That was without millions of dollars in the bank. That was without decades of political favors to call in, and without, frankly, party machinery backing our campaign. Yet we turned in more signatures, 62,000 to be exact, which is more than every other candidate. And from there, we've only gained in momentum. We had volunteers showing up by the hundreds to our trainings, our organizer trainings. We have definitely gone up in the rankings. We had just so much momentum and we're also not weighed down by the baggage of corruption and the establishment like most of the other candidates are. So
Well,
that's
speaking
also
of
been a
corruption, a lot of your challengers, many of them, of the 15 total, are asking Toni Preckwinkle to step down because of the dirty money she allegedly got from Alderman Ed Burke. What do you think she should do?
Well, we see at least 5 of the candidates as, so there's so much talk about what Chicago needs in the future of Chicago and moving us in the right direction. And yet at least 5 of these candidates all have ties to Ed Burke, have ties to business as usual. And we think it's fraudulent, quite frankly, to position yourself as the thing, as what Chicago needs moving forward when you carry all of this baggage. And so we call them the fraudulent 5. So it's not just President Preckwinkle, it's also Susana Mendoza, it's Gary Chico, it's Gary McCarthy. It's, these are all Bill Daley. They all have ties to corruption. Ed Burke is just one example of a broader business as usual that they all tacitly accepted. And so beyond just the one person, this is about how do we not make the mistake of going with an establishment candidate that has all of these ties to the things that Chicagoans are saying they do not want. They deserve better.
Now,
we offer that.
Yeah, and let me ask you that too. Is there a changing of the guard going on in black neighborhoods on the west and south side, and I'm including that with respect to black and even Latino aldermen? Ricky Munoz in trouble; he's retiring. Willie Cochran obviously in trouble. A long history of west and south side aldermen being, frankly, pawns of those established powers that you were just ticking off. Is there a generational shift? Is there a leadership change happening in the black communities in Chicago, do you sense?
I definitely think that there is. There is such a frustration and a desire to move away from the status quo, particularly on the south and west side, where it simply has not worked. And in fact, these communities have only gone down in terms of quality across every metric. And people are saying that they are fed up with business as usual. We see that energy definitely with younger voters and younger residents in general. And our campaign has really attracted those millennials who came out to vote in record numbers in the midterm elections. But we're also seeing seniors who are seeing the energy of those younger voters who are not afraid to stand up for themselves, who are not afraid to stand up for their communities, and who, quite frankly, don't feel compelled to align themselves with an establishment that hasn't worked for their communities. They see it, they live it. I live in one of these neighborhoods. We don't need to be told what's happening because our very lived experience evidences the lack of effectiveness of this current crop of leaders. And so that wave of pushing against them, I think, is spreading.
And that kind of campaign that you're going to run with sort of that grassroots, netroots, youthful enthusiasm you're describing, I mean, is that what it's going to be? You're not going to be able to go, dollar for dollar with Bill Daley or Gary Chico on network affiliate television. So it's going to be grassroots and netroots for you, and you're going to try and sort of pull an Ocasio-Cortez and shock the world?
Well, it's definitely going to be a grassroots strategy. I mean, we're raising money, so our goal is, of course, to compete on traditional television. However, we also know that people consume their information differently, that there's nothing that can replace face-to-face contact, and we have that grassroots army across the city. And also our digital strategy, which is where most people are consuming their news and information these days. And so we have an advantage because of how our campaign is positioned, because of our message, and because we're willing to do the work. We're not going to just compete on traditional terms. That's not where the fight is going to be won. And we're also attracting people who've never voted and who've never been involved in the electoral process. And no other candidate is able to do that. Our entire strategy is around getting more people involved, expanding the voter base, and reaching the 70% of people who could have voted in the last election but didn't because they were not inspired by anything that they saw or heard. So our strategy is very different. It's not cynical. It doesn't take the approach of hoping for low voter turnout or rehashing empty talking points. And we don't have the baggage of so many of these other candidates. And I think that's what's attracting people to our campaign.
Yeah, I agree. So what is your opinion on casinos in Chicago and legalizing marijuana? I've asked every candidate that, but that's important to me.
Yes. So I definitely support the legalization of marijuana. I've been pretty vocal on that issue for a number of reasons, although I always have to say that it's not enough just to legalize it. We have to be very intentional about making sure that there are access points into that sector, particularly for groups who have been marginalized when it was illegal, in its illegal status. so that they can participate in this as a legit economic sector. So I'm definitely for legalization. With regard to the casino, I don't think that that's the best option for the city of Chicago in terms of revenue. I think that there are other options that could be a little bit more helpful. So, for example, video gaming is something that helps small businesses in the city. I work in the small business sector in the city. I think by the time all of the different actors that would be a part of the casino get their cut, that the revenue that actually comes back to the city won't be sufficient to do what we think it may do. And it also might have an effect on the existing tourism and restaurant sector as well that might not be helpful.
What about predatory policies? I mean, I would say that the gambling turns out to be a regressive tax on the poor. I mean, a regressive tax by definition on the poor. Lottery ticket sales, they're not concentrated in Winnetka and Kenilworth. They're concentrated on the south and west sides of the city. And I understand that in part that's a function of hopelessness. But, gambling is not a good investment. It's not a real good path up the socioeconomic ladder. And so for the marginal dollars for people struggling to get onto that ladder and up that ladder, it seems to me that's government policy that's not really aligned with the interests of constituents who are not doing as well as we would like them to do. And that goes, frankly, for red light tickets and the seizure of cars. This big WBEC story this week about the city seizing and selling some 50,000 cars over the last 7 years, disproportionately belonging to poor people and families, or working class people and families. The whole concept of aligning city government with the interests of people who are being productive and trying to get ahead.
Yes, and we were the only campaign. So about 2 weeks ago, we actually launched what we call an economic justice platform that goes deeply into the issues of booting people's cars, suspending their licenses so they have no access to transportation to be able to work so that they can pay off whatever tickets they may have accrued. We tackle that issue head on because it is not productive. What we push for instead is productive and progressive, non-punitive measures, which the city hasn't employed. And so if you think about getting a boot on your car, now you can't work, you can't make money, you can't move. So now you don't have the revenue to be able to pay the city anyway. These draconian policies are non-productive, and they actually hurt quality of life and cause people to leave the city. If you think about what's happening with lottery sales, in those very same communities, what is the connection between the revenue that's generated from the lottery and how it is reinvested in communities, or how it's helping those communities? It's not, quite frankly. And when you see how that money is being used by the state or misused, you can see that the people who would benefit from the people purchasing those tickets, who would stand to benefit the most, are not seeing the benefits. And the same is with this casino. You have individuals, because we have not invested in a growth economy, who are spending the little dollars that they have, hoping to generate additional income to do things like put food on the table or pay tickets. That's not productive. And the level of investment or benefit to the communities that they're living in it simply will not work. It hasn't worked with the lottery. I don't think that it'll work with the casino.
Something else predatory appears to be some of the personnel of the Chicago Public School System over the last 15 years, at least that the Tribune's looked at it so far. Unbelievable story over the holidays about somebody employed with CPS for a decade while being accused of molesting children outside the district. I wonder what you would do, since CPS, 85% Black and Latino, what you would do to address what appears to be systemic sexual abuse of children in CPS and a cover-up of much of it to boot.
Yes, and a lot of my proposals in education are addressing the systemic issues within CPS. That the level of how rampant this was, hundreds and hundreds of cases, shows that there's some deeply ingrained policies and practices that created a system where this kind of behavior was allowed to happen. And what we're seeing is that it's being forced into light by journalists who are calling this out. This is a culture within Chicago Public Schools to cover up abuse, to cover up malpractice. We had many scandals that have happened over recent years. The latest CPS CEO was ousted for attempting to essentially submit a fraudulent documentation to allow him to continue practices that were unethical. We had his predecessor going to prison for a $20 million bribery scheme. These things are not aberrations, unfortunately, within CPS. They are systemic problems that are a culture that's been allowed to thrive. And so in our education proposal, we talk about what it means to create a culture of accountability, and that requires transparency. CPS has a habit of hiding information or presenting misinformation to the public when they want, and it takes those of us who've been on the ground, I've been working on these issues for years, to force them to be transparent. They have to have transparency as a hallmark. They have to address the issues of equity that exist, where entire schools and communities are overlooked and do not get the resources that they need. There's just some very deep concerns that have been allowed to thrive for far too long. And that's why people are calling for an elected school board, because they feel that for so long, the CPS board and CPS in general has not been responsive to the needs of parents. And the sexual abuse scandal is only one horrendous example of that.
She is Amara Enya. The website, amaraenya.com. That's ENYIA, Amara Enya. She's a candidate for mayor, backed by Chance the Rapper. Fundraiser with Chance on Saturday night, so that'll be fun. Amara, thanks so much for joining us, and good luck. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me.
And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
You started a DIY project at home. Then you realize convenience isn't always easy. The why in DIY doesn't mean, why is this so hard? At ADT, we DIFY, do it for you. We customize and install a secure smart home that you control from the palm of your hand or the sound of your voice. Smart security, designed and installed just for you with ADT. Visit ADT.com/smart to learn more. License information available at ADT.com. ADT, real protection.
Pros in the know start with Lowe's, because Lowe's makes it easy to save big on building materials to finish any job. Need to stock up on water heaters? Save 5% on select A.O. Smith water heaters when you buy 3 or more of the same model. Plus, save 5% on eligible purchases every day when you use your Lowe's Business Credit account. So, Pro, now that you know, start with Lowe's. While supplies last, credit offer subject to credit approval. Can't be combined with other credit offers.